Chapter 8:31. Nothing unexpected happened. Following that, Yang Dingtian easily killed this rank 14 Hydra. Then, 9 rank 14 energy essences floated in the air. To other teams, the Hydra was definitely the most troublesome elemental creature because not only was it invulnerable, but it was also equivalent to 9 powerful rank 14 creatures. But to Yang Dingtian, it was indeed the best prey. How could there be such a good thing to be able to hunt 9 energy essences in one go? Now, there was actually no need to distribute. The rank 14 energy essences definitely belonged to Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian immediately synthesized these rank 14 energy essences close to rank 15. In the end, he still synthesized 1 peak energy essence close to rank 15. There were still 2 ordinary rank 14 energy essences left. Yang Dingtian was just about to sit down and devour the energy essences when Yao Li shouted, "Yang Dingen, hurry up and leave. There will be people coming soon." Seeing Yao Li and the others, Yang Dingtian said in astonishment, "Didn't I tell you to leave immediately? Why haven't you left yet?" Then, Yang Dingtian's group of 6 quickly headed north, leaving this place at the fastest speed. In fact, Yang Dingtian's luck could be considered excellent, because the Hydra just now was fighting on the ground. It was completely earth-shattering. It could completely attract everyone within a radius of several hundred miles. Therefore, when Yang Dingtian was killing the Hydra just now, Yao Li's group of 6 was practically on full alert in all the nearby areas. If a certain Little Western Paradise team discovered the situation on Yang Dingtian's side, they would charge over. At that time, if they encountered a powerful team, not only would this Hydra be snatched away, but Yang Dingtian and the others would also lose their lives. In the end, when fighting the Hydra, there was no one within a radius of 100 miles. And Yang Dingtian also fought very quickly. The entire process was over in less than 15 minutes. In fact, by the time Yang Dingtian and the others left, less than 15 minutes. A team of more than 10 people had already rushed to the scene. The leader was a half-saint. Looking at the Hydra on the ground, he sighed, "What a pity that we're a bit late. This is a mid-14th order Hydra. Our team can take it down." The person beside him asked, "Young master, which team killed this Hydra?" The leading half-saint said, "Because it's a group that's stronger than ours, we immediately rushed over at full speed after we felt the tremors, but we were still too late. In just a little more than a quarter of an hour, this team killed the 9-headed snake, which shows that they are very powerful. They might be the team of the young masters of the 9 major tribes." The person next to him nodded and said, "Let's hurry up and leave. Otherwise, if the other teams see us and think that we were the ones who killed it, they might try to snatch it." "That's right." The leading half-saint said, "Leave at once. The further the better." In the end, the 2 of them were right. Half an hour later, the 2 teams arrived at the Hydra's corpse one after the other. Without saying a word, they immediately started killing. Blood and flesh flew everywhere, and more than half of them were killed or injured. Yang Dingtian's group of 6 rushed nearly 1,000 miles away. After making sure that it was safe, they began to sit down and devour the energy essence of the 15th order limit. Yao Li's group of 6 spread out in the surroundings to protect Yang Dingtian. Although Yang Dingtian was already at the 8th rank of the 13th order, when the energy essence of the 15th order limit surged in, Yang Dingtian still saw a golden light in front of his eyes and felt dizzy. Then, the surging and powerful energy crazily rushed into his Xian veins and energy sea. Just a quarter of an hour later. Boom! Without exception, Yang Dingtian broke through to the 9th rank of the 13th order limit. However, this energy essence was still not exhausted, and there was still a steady flow of energy flowing into his energy sea. However, before his energy sea could welcome the next expansion, this energy essence of the 15th order limit had already been exhausted. However, Yang Dingtian was already satisfied. Now, Yang Dingtian was only half a step away from the 14th order limit. It could be said that the harvest of the 9-headed snake this time was almost equal to the harvest of the past 2 waves of elemental creatures. Now, Yang Dingtian was really only half a step away from the 14th order limit. Yao Li came over and said, "About 2 to 3 more energy essences of the 15th order limit." Yang Dingtian nodded. In other words, he still needed to hunt about a dozen 14th-order elemental creatures. Of course, if he was lucky and encountered a 14th-order 9-headed snake again, 2 would be enough at most. If his luck was even better, just one high-level 14th-order 9-headed snake would be enough for Yang Dingtian to break through to the 14th-order limit. However, even if it was a Tier 13 energy essence, it wouldn't be useful to Yang Dingtian anymore. Because in order to break through to the 14th-order limit, he had to use energy essences of the 14th-order level or above, or he had to use energy essences of the 15th-order limit. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could only pray that he would try his best to encounter 14th-order elemental creatures in the next period of time. Moreover, it had to be a 14th-order one that he could hunt. "Let's go, let's continue to explore and hunt," Yang Dingtian said. Then, the 6 of them went north again and set off again. However, Yang Dingtian's team didn't manage to reap any rewards until daybreak. For the whole night, they only hunted one elemental creature. Soon, the 2 suns rose into the sky and the whole world began to melt. Yang Dingtian and the others put on their magic crystals and continued to explore. 83 miles to the southwest. Only 4 hours after dawn, the vengeful spirits immediately fluctuated and discovered elemental creatures again. The 6 of them immediately rushed toward their destination. Soon, they arrived at their destination. It was a stone golem, a 13th-order stone golem. Their luck was really good. Yang Dingtian immediately locked onto it, and then the cold energy of the 6 people bombarded it. Just like that, in less than a quarter of an hour, the 13th-order stone golem was immediately shattered and turned into ashes. A 13th-order energy essence floated in the air. The 6 of them continued to move forward. Yang Dingtian continued to release countless vengeful spirits, searching inch by inch for elemental creatures. Just like that, even during the slump period of the elemental creatures, Yang Dingtian's team of 6 continued to search and hunt without rest. 2 months passed by in the blink of an eye. Although the frenzy period of the elemental creatures had passed, the harvest of these 2 months was still much better than the previous slump period. On average, they still harvested about 3 elemental creatures every day. In this way, in 2 months, they had hunted and killed 203 elemental creatures. Among them, there were a total of 35 13th-order elemental creatures, and 5 of them were synthesized into 14th-order energy essences. 2 for Yao Li, 2 for Bo Lu, and 1 for Yao Zi. There were a total of 130 12th-order elemental creatures, and 18 of them were synthesized into 13th-order energy essences. 8 for Yao Zi, and 5 for the Awen and Awu brothers. Of course, the rest were all below 11th order and were no longer of much use to the 6 of them. They were all handed over to Yang Dingtian to bring back to the human countries. After devouring these energy essences, Yao Li directly broke through 12th order 9th order and was just waiting to break through 13th order. After Bo Lu devoured 2 energy essences close to 14th order, he also broke through 12th order 9th order and was just waiting to break through 13th order. The one with the greatest harvest was still Yao Zi. She first devoured 8 energy essences close to 13th order, and broke through 13th order 9th order 5th order 13th order. Then, she devoured 1 energy essence close to 14th order, and directly broke through 13th order 7th order 13th order. As for the Awen and Awu brothers, after devouring 5 energy essences close to 13th order, they just happened to break through 12th order 4th order. Therefore, there was no doubt that the harvest of these 2 months was very great. However, to Yang Dingtian, it was completely zero harvest because he did not encounter a 14th order elemental creature that could be destroyed. He did encounter a 14th order Rakshasa, but it was an advanced 14th order Rakshasa. It was very powerful. Yang Dingtian did not choose to take the risk and immediately left after discovering it. This was because there were only 3 types of 14th order elemental creatures that he could definitely destroy. The first was of course the Devil's Soul, the second was the Flame Demon, and the third was the Hydra. Yang Dingtian did not have confidence in dealing with other 14th order elemental creatures and would not risk his life. However, he was now in great need of 14th order energy essences because in order to break through to 14th order, devouring 13th order energy essences was completely useless. Therefore, after 2 whole months of no harvest, he was a little anxious. He had said that he would stay in the second dark realm for at most a year. However, more than half a year had now passed. Yang Dingtian's cultivation could be said to be breaking through at lightning speed, and he was only half a step away from 14th order. However, he was stuck here. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could only keep praying that he would encounter a 14th order flame demon or devil soul, and the best would be a 14th order hydra. However, the heavens did not seem to hear Yang Dingtian's prayers. Soon, another month had passed. This month, Yang Dingtian's team was still very rich, and they still hunted 100 elemental creatures. Among them, Yao Li broke through to 13th order, and Bo Lu also broke through to 13th order. As for Yao Zi, she was only half a step away from 13th order. The brothers Ah Wen and Ah Wu had also reached 8th order 12th order. Only Yang Dingtian still had no harvest. There were only about 4 months left until Yang Dingtian left. After 4 months, no matter what Yang Dingtian's cultivation was, even if he had not broken through to 14th order, he would still leave the second dark realm and head to the third dark realm. On this day, Yang Dingtian's team continued north to explore. In these few days, Yang Dingtian still had no harvest. He had been without any harvest for more than 100 days. In fact, there was no smile on Yao Zi's face. She was very sad for Yang Dingtian. She had even stupidly refused to take the energy essences. She even suggested that before Yang Dingtian had any harvest, all the energy essences would not be distributed. Yang Dingtian only called Yao Zi a fool in response to her suggestion. As for Yao Li, she did not comfort Yang Dingtian in any way. This was because comforting and feeling sad was something a little girl like Yao Zi should do. To a human leader like Yang Dingtian, 100 days without any harvest was not even a small blow. In fact, although Yang Dingtian was a little anxious, his emotions and expression did not change at all. As for disappointment, it was even more out of the question. Just as the 6 of them were heading north to explore, there was suddenly a strong fluctuation from countless wraiths. 80 miles due north, Yang Dingtian said loudly. Yao Zi said loudly, "Mr. Yang Dingen, it must be a level 14 elemental creature this time, and one that is very easy to kill. I promise." I believe in your intuition," Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Was this Yao Zi's intuition? Of course not. She had said this more than 100 times. Soon, the 6 of them rushed to their destination 80 miles away. As expected, there was a cave. Yang Dingtian took the lead and rushed in quickly. In the end, less than 3,000 meters into the cave, there was suddenly the sound of intense footsteps in front of them. There was someone here? Yang Dingtian frowned and was about to lead the team out of the cave. In the dark realm, if he found someone in a cave, Yang Dingtian would definitely not want to get into a conflict. He would immediately turn and leave. At this moment, a person suddenly rushed out. His face was filled with fear and shock. He kept shouting, shadow demon, a half-saint shadow demon, ah. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was overjoyed. He had not gained anything for 100 days, and now there was a great harvest? A half-saint devil spirit? This was a gift from the heavens. Chapter 8:32. Yang Dingtian immediately let Yao Li and the others retreat immediately, and then rushed into the depths of the cave. When Yang Dingtian arrived at the bottom of the cave, the killing of the Mo Ling had long stopped. At this time, there were more than a dozen corpses lying on the ground, and each of them had been sucked dry. Moreover, the corpses were no longer complete, but a pile of fragments. The scene of the Mo Ling killing people was extremely terrifying and cruel. The moment Yang Dingtian entered the cave, this Mo Ling suddenly flashed in front of him and directly pounced on Yang Dingtian. Like the previous Mo Ling, the moment this Mo Ling pounced on Yang Dingtian, it wanted to tear him into pieces. But soon, it smelled the scent of another of its kind, and suddenly all its movements stopped. Then, would the Mo Ling let go of a low level of its kind? No, it wouldn't. The Mo Ling didn't recognize its own kind. When it encountered a low level of its kind, it would immediately shatter its body and then devour it alive. Then why didn't this Mo Ling attack Yang Dingtian? It was very simple because it smelled a familiar scent, but also an unfamiliar one. Therefore, it couldn't be sure whether Yang Dingtian was a Mo Ling or not. If Yang Dingtian was a Mo Ling, it would directly tear him apart and then devour him. If Yang Dingtian wasn't Mo Ling, it would do the same. However, when it couldn't figure it out, it would fall into an eternal dilemma. In its incomparably simple mind, there would always be a question hovering. This thing in front of it was a Mo Ling? Not a Mo Ling? Just like that, it would repeat forever. This kind of brutal creature, although incomparably powerful and completely a bug, was also the stupidest creature. Yang Dingtian avoided its eyes and carefully observed this Mo Ling, looking at the energy light on its body. This was not a demi-saint level Mo Ling because it wasn't completely golden, and there was still a little blood red. If one didn't pay attention, it would be really difficult to notice. In other words, it wasn't level 15, but it was the limit of level 14. That meant that after Yang Dingtian got its energy essence, he didn't need to synthesize it and directly reached level 15. The person who ran out just now shouted demi-saint level shadow demon. Obviously, he didn't see it clearly, but at this critical moment, it was impossible to see it clearly. As soon as he saw the golden color, he thought it was a demi-saint level. But even if it wasn't a demi-saint level, it was enough to make Yang Dingtian smack his lips. This should be the strongest and highest class demon spirit that Yang Dingtian had ever seen. The last one seemed to be level 11. Once again, it was a demi-saint level shadow demon, and directly on the ground. Although this demi-saint level, it demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint. Of the demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint level demi-saint, demi-heaven demi-saint level demi-saint, Yang Dingtian began his life as a coolie. That's right, he was definitely a coolie. He used a soul sword close to the emperor grade to chop off the demon spirit's thin limbs. It took a full half an hour, tens of thousands of slashes, and a tremendous amount of strength to cut off Mo Ling's limbs. Yang Dingtian suspected that if the devil spirit's level was any higher, even his near-emperor grade soul sword wouldn't be able to cut it. After the demonic spirit's limbs were cut off, it no longer had any lethality. At this time, Yang Dingtian summoned Yao Li and the others in. Then, the 6 of them started to work hard. They poured in all their profound qi and started to bombard this demon spirit. It took him more than an hour to do so. That's right, there were 6 of them. After a full hour, Yang Dingtian's Xian Qi recovered twice and finally completely destroyed the energy passport of this demon spirit. Then Yang Dingtian quickly put its body into the energy cloak. This was a demonic spirit close to the half-step saint level. Its entire body was full of treasures. Unfortunately, Yang Dingtian didn't know how to make things like the demon spirit black armor and demon spirit mist cloak. Otherwise, just this demonic spirit close to the 15th level would be enough to make something that wasn't inferior to Yang Dingtian's demon spirit mist cloak and demon spirit black armor. Finally, Yang Dingtian looked at the energy essence close to the 15th level floating in the air. It wasn't easy. After a full 100 days without any harvest, there was finally one close to the 15th level. Mr. Yang Dingtian, my intuition is accurate, right? If I say it's a 14th level shadow demon, then it's a 14th level shadow demon, Yao Li said excitedly. You're amazing, Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Then, he put this demonic crystal close to the 15th level into the energy jade box. The 6 of them left the cave with their fastest speed. That was because every cave was dangerous. In a place far away from the cave, the 6 of them used their fastest time to recover their profound qi and once again entered the next hunt. However, all the harvest that night had come to an end. They didn't find any elemental creatures. Soon, it was daytime again. The 6 of them put on their sunglasses again and began to search for new elemental creatures in the countless magma. Only 4 hours later, the countless wraiths once again produced a huge fluctuation. In the southeast direction, 98 miles away. The 6 of them advanced at full speed. After spending a full 15 minutes, they arrived at their destination. Then, Yang Dingtian was stunned. Was good luck contagious? How could they have just killed a 15th level demonic spirit last night and encountered a 14th level mid-grade flame demon during the day? At this moment, Yao Li and the others didn't need Yang Dingtian's instructions at all. The 5 of them immediately retreated and escaped as far as they could with their fastest speed. This was because the 5 of them couldn't cause any harm to the flame demon at all. Moreover, there was magma everywhere now. The flame demon had an endless supply of energy. But when Yang Dingtian wasn't even at the 10th rank, he was already able to eliminate an 11th rank flame demon. Now that he was at the 13th level, killing a 14th level mid-grade flame demon was a piece of cake. Sure enough, Yang Dingtian was completely calm and collected. He flashed quickly, dodging any of the flame demon's attacks. Then, he directly fused the demonic spirit demon fire and void-rending fire and launched an attack at this 14th level flame demon. Roar! When it was hit by the first attack, the flame demon didn't care at first. But when it discovered that an unrecoverable black hole had appeared on its body, it directly let out a furious roar. Then this flame demon fell into a berserk state. Roar! Its huge body crazily slammed everything on the ground, crazily spitting out tens of thousands of degrees of flames. The terrifying flames instantly devoured all the space within a few hundred meters in front of it. As long as one was hit, it would basically turn into ashes. But under Yang Dingtian's flash art, it would be strange if one could be hit. Yang Dingtian seemed to be strolling leisurely, flashing and moving around quickly, constantly bursting out hybrid mystic fire. The black holes on the 14th level flame demon's body became more and more numerous. In the end, its huge body could no longer support itself. Roar! Amidst an incomparably unwilling roar, it suddenly shattered into pieces, turning into countless blazing flames and falling into the magma all over the ground. Then a 14th level energy essence floated in the air. Yang Dingtian quickly went over and collected it. Yang Dingtian's luck seemed to have run out. In the following 2 long months, he once again had no harvest. And the team's harvest also somewhat declined. This time, in 2 months, the 6-person team only hunted 135 elemental creatures. But the good news was that among them, there were a total of 85 13th level energy creatures. Of course, this also had to do with them giving up on low-level elemental creatures. In these 2 months, Yaozi also broke through to 13th level, reaching 13th level, 2nd rank. The 2 brothers, Ah Wen and Ah Wu, also broke through to 13th level. And Yao Li reached 13th level, 4th rank. Bo Lu also reached 13th level, 4th rank. The gap between these 5 people had already been gradually narrowed. In the face of this result, Ah Wen and Ah Wu were completely unable to imagine it. Their only mission in the Dark Realm was to protect Yao Zi and to be her sparring partner. It was normal for them to have no harvest. Under normal circumstances, they could only harvest energy essences that their master did not want. Therefore, before entering the Dark Realm, they had set their goal to break through to 11th level in 200 years. Now, in just 2 years, they had broken through to 13th level. This was completely unimaginable. And as their master, Yao Zi's goal in entering the Dark Realm was only to break through to 13th level in 200 years. As for Yao Li's goal, it was to break through to 14th level in 200 years. As for Bo Lu, he did not set a goal. He entered the Dark Realm purely to protect and accompany. And now, because of Yang Dingtian's existence, the 5 people's harvest had completely exceeded the harvest under normal circumstances. This was really too crazy. Therefore, there was no need for Yao Li to say anything. When Yang Dingtian returned to the human countries, the 5 of them would definitely follow him. This was because 80% of their harvest had come from Yang Dingtian, or even more. If not for Yang Dingtian, they would not even have 1/10 of their current harvest. At this time, there were only 3 months left to the 1-year period that Yang Dingtian had set. 3 months later, no matter what his cultivation was, he would have to leave the 2nd Dark Realm. Now, Yang Dingtian no longer held any hope of breaking through to Half Saint in the 2nd Dark Realm because it was simply impossible. 14th level elemental creatures were already so rare, not to mention 15th and 16th level. And to break through to 15th level, he would need close to 16th level energy essences. This was a huge number. When the time came, Yang Dingtian would have to hunt not 1 or 2 15th level energy creatures, nor 10 or 20, but hundreds of them. Unless there was another Great Taboo Day. However, Yao Li had said that the Great Taboo Day only happened once every 33 years. Therefore, there was no need to hold on to this hope. Now, Yang Dingtian only had one hope, and that was to break through to 14th level in 3 months. As for the remaining 15th level, he hoped to break through in the 3rd Dark Realm. Then in the next 3 months, he hoped to hunt enough flame demons, hydras, or demon spirits. Chapter 8:33. However, Yang Dingtian's luck seemed to have run out. Another month passed. Yao Li and Bo Lu's cultivation had almost caught up to Yang Dingtian's, but he still did not gain anything. In this month, he did not even find a single 14th level elemental creature. After countless years of hunting in the Little Western Paradise, the number of high-level elemental creatures in the 2nd Dark Realm was getting fewer and fewer. At this time, Yang Dingtian had a near 15th level ultimate energy essence and 3 ordinary 14th level energy essences. Of course, he also had a 15th level energy essence. However, he did not have any 15th level energy essences at the moment. If he wanted to break through to the next level, he basically had to use synthesized ultimate energy essences to break through in an instant. Although ordinary 15th level energy essences had more energy, their density was much lower. If Yang Dingtian wanted to break through to the 14th level, he would need at least 2 near 15th level energy essences, or at least 3. Now, Yang Dingtian barely had 1.5. There were only 2 months left until he left the 2nd Dark Realm. 1.5 energy essences near 15th level energy essences would require him to kill about 10 14th level elemental creatures. From the looks of it, unless a miracle happened, it would be impossible. Of course, if Yang Dingtian's luck was off the charts again and he directly found an advanced 14th level 9-headed snake, then everything would be solved. However, at this time, Yang Dingtian really did not dare to have such extravagant hopes. Another month passed. Yang Dingtian still did not gain anything. In this month, he had hunted a total of 50 elemental creatures. Yao Li had broken through to the 6th level 13th level, Bo Lu had broken through to the 5th level 13th level, and Yao Zi had reached the 4th level 13th level 13th level. Even the Awen and Ah Wu brothers had reached the 1st level 13th level 13th level. As for Yang Dingtian, he did not gain anything at all. At this time, Yang Dingtian had almost given up hope of breaking through to the 14th level, and had placed his hopes directly on the 2nd Dark Realm. The high-level monsters in the 2nd Dark Realm were too rare, and their appearance had a certain regularity. They would either all surge out at once, or not at all. There was only a month left before Yang Dingy left the Dark Realm. Today, Yang Dingtian only had the goal of helping the other 5 make breakthroughs every day. He still hunted and explored every day without rest. As the date of departure approached, everyone's mood became more and more gloomy and heavy. Although the leader of the 6-person team was Yao Li, everyone knew that their backbone had already become Yang Dingtian. When Yang Dingtian was still relatively weak, he began to protect and help the other 5 people. After Yang Dingtian became stronger, he had become the absolute core and confidence of the sect. Now that Yang Dingtian was leaving, it was definitely a fatal blow to the 5 of them. That's right, Yao Li was a pretty good leader. She was fair, just, and willing to make sacrifices. However, she still lacked something. Once Yang Dingtian left, they would completely lose their backbone. There were only 21 days left before Yang Dingtian left. Of course, he still did not gain anything. During this period of time, he did not even see an elemental creature above the 14th level. That night, the team's harvest fell to the lowest point again. They only found a 13th level elemental creature. The sky was about to brighten, and Yao Zi had been sulking. Suddenly she said, "Sister, what should we do after Mr. Yang Dingtian leaves? Don't tell me we'll only find one elemental creature after a few months like before? I can't live like that anymore." Then she pouted and said, "Anyway, I don't want to fight anymore." Yao Li did not scold her. Instead, she continued to follow Yang Dingtian and continued to explore deeper. The sky soon brightened. The two suns rose into the sky, and the ground began to melt again. The six of them put on their sunglasses and continued to explore deeper. After an entire day, Yang Dingtian's team of six still only gained one thing, and it was only a 12th level elemental creature. Soon, night came again. After recovering their battle celestial chi, the six of them traveled through the darkness and continued to explore. That night, Yang Dingtian still did not gain anything. The entire team only hunted one elemental creature, and it was a useless 12th level one. Daytime came again. The two suns rose into the sky again. Yao Zi put on her sunglasses and suddenly said coquettishly, "Mr. Yang Ding, let's not fight anymore. Since we've gained nothing and you're leaving soon, why don't we dig a deep cave and make 4 rooms like last time and spend the next 20 days in peace?" She was a child. Seeing that they did not gain anything every day, she immediately lost all interest. Moreover, she had been in the dark realm for too long. She missed the life of having a house. In particular, she had once barged into Yang Dingtian's room wearing a doo-doo and panties. Therefore, as soon as she suggested this, Yao Li's expression immediately changed and she glared at her. Yang Dingtian also felt a chill run down his spine. If Yao Zi barged into his room wearing nothing again and was caught by Yao Li, it would be too embarrassing. Yao Zi saw her sister's exaggerated reaction and immediately blushed. "Sister, what nonsense are you thinking? I didn't do it to sneak into Mr. Yang Dingtian's room. Moreover, I don't want him as much as I did before." Hearing this, the 5 of them were completely speechless. They also understood the meaning behind Yao Zi's words. A little girl's one-sided love came and went quickly. That kind of electric shock did not last long. If Yang Dingtian had been willing to have a more intimate relationship with her, this kind of electric shock might have turned into a strong love between a man and a woman, fermenting and changing qualitatively. However, Yang Dingtian had always rejected her. Therefore, Yao Zi did not get any further emotional gains. The electric shock naturally faded at the tip of her sword and turned into a strong trust and dependence. Of course, if Yang Dingtian wanted to have an intimate relationship with her now, Yao Zi would still not reject him. In fact, she would be very willing. However, she was no longer that eager to have an intimate relationship with Yang Dingtian. Therefore, a little girl's feelings could not be considered love. Hearing Yao Zi's childish words, Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "There are still more than 20 days left. How can we give up now? Maybe we'll be lucky. Who knows?" Children had no human rights. Yao Zi pouted. Then, the 6 of them stared at the scorching sun and continued to search. Yao Zi was absent-minded and said angrily, I have a feeling that we won't get anything today." Hearing her words, the others didn't pay any attention to her and just smiled. As if in response to Yao Zi's words, the sky suddenly darkened. Yao Li and the others were shocked. What was going on? The sky had only been bright for less than an hour. Why did it darken? There were no dark clouds in the dark realm. The sun was scorching during the day, and it would only darken at night. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's countless wraiths suddenly fluctuated violently. Yang Dingun was pleasantly surprised and said, "Northwest, 38 miles. And the fluctuation is very strong. It should be a high-level elemental creature." Suddenly, the group could not be bothered to think about why the sky had suddenly darkened. They immediately rushed 38 miles northwest. Just as the group was rushing towards their destination, the sky became darker and darker. In the end, it was almost as dark as the sky, but it was not completely dark. There was still a little light. Moreover, the magma that had just melted began to solidify at the tip of the sword. The surrounding temperature was also rapidly dropping. Yang Dingtian could not help but look up. There were only 2 rings left in the sky. Could it be a solar eclipse? But according to his calculations, there should not be a solar eclipse at this time. Temporarily putting this thought aside, the 6 of them continued to rush towards the northwest. Soon, they reached their destination. Then Yang Dingun took a glance and immediately exclaimed loudly, "Run, run! It was an unknown elemental creature. Even Yang Dingtian could not see it clearly. All he saw was a golden light. It was definitely an elemental creature above the half-saint level. It looked like a scorpion, and its entire body seemed to be wrapped in fiery patterns. Moreover, it was wandering on the ground at this time. Soon, this unknown elemental creature at the half-saint level discovered Yang Dingtian's group of 6. Then, it quickly rushed towards Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's group of 6 hurriedly fled. Their luck was indeed good. They had discovered a high-level elemental creature, but it was too high-level. It was above the half-saint level. Yang Dingtian's group would be courting death if they went up against it. Fortunately, this unknown elemental creature was not fast and could not catch up with the 6 of them for the time being. Just as Yang Dingtian was rejoicing, suddenly, this elemental creature above the half-saint level suddenly began to split into 2, 4, 8, and 16. They madly rushed towards Yang Dingtian's group of 6. Yang Dingtian's group of 6 fled even more desperately. Soon, they felt the entire ground trembling, and it was getting more and more intense. When they looked up, the 6 of them were completely stunned, because the entire ground was cracking apart at a rapid speed. In front of them, countless elemental creatures surged out of the cracks in the ground. Looking again, left, right, and behind. More and more elemental creatures surged out. Countless elemental creatures began to run desperately. They were completely like a tide, front, back, left, and right, in all directions. From level 9 to level 13, level 14, even level 15, and even higher elemental creatures. They were densely packed. At the same time, the entire ground continued to tear apart crazily, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless elemental creatures all poured out of their nests. At the same time, many masters of the Fox Demon clan in Little Western Paradise also poured out of their nests. Yao Li and the others' expressions changed, because the most terrifying day of the Dark Realm, the Great Fission Day, had arrived. Chapter 8:34. What was the Great Fission Day? The 2 suns were covered, and the yin and yang energies clashed. The entire Dark Realm was torn to shreds. Moreover, the Great Fission Day did not have any cycle or pattern. It could happen at any time. However, every time it happened, it meant that the Dark Realm was one step closer to total death. In other words, the Great Fission Day was another collapse of the Dark Realm. Then, the matter here would become more condensed, and the gravity here would become stronger. Every Great Fission Day was a complete catastrophe for the elemental creatures in the Dark Realm. It was a catastrophe for the elemental creatures, but it was the end of the world for the people who cultivated here. It seemed like this was a huge opportunity to hunt them down, because the elemental creatures that could not be found normally were surging out like a tide. However, no one dared to hunt at such a time. That would be courting death, because there were too many elemental creatures at this moment, and they were all filled with bloodthirsty aggression. Let alone someone like Yang Dingtian, even a half-saint or even a saint-class expert would only face death. Furthermore, they would die without a complete corpse. A few hundred years ago, a Great Fission Day had happened in the Second Dark Realm. In the end, all of the Fox Demon clan experts who were cultivating inside were completely annihilated, and all of them died. On the Great Taboo Day, countless dead souls fought in the Dark Realm. However, at that time, people could still hide in the depths of the earth. On the Great Fission Day, there was absolutely no place for the people of the Dark Realm, because whether it was on the surface or underground, there were elemental creatures everywhere. Moreover, every part of the Great Earth was being torn apart, the sky and earth being overturned. Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, the Great Fission Day is here. You can go invisible, and you have the demonic spirit Misty Cloak Flash. You should escape alone. It's best if you go to the Third Dark Realm now, Yao Li said with a sorrowful expression. We have to carry out the Great Fission Law. What was the Great Fission Law? A few hundred years ago, the Great Fission Day had happened in the Dark Realm, and all the Fox Demon elites were almost completely wiped out. The Little Western Paradise United Council learned from the painful experience and began to summarize their mistakes. They thought that the reason why they were wiped out was because the Fox Demon elites were not united. During the Great Fission Day, they were still killing and ambushing each other. If all the fox elites were to unite and form a line of defense against the hell elemental beasts, they might be able to survive. Although there were far fewer foxes than elemental creatures, during the Great Fission, almost all of the elemental creatures were in a chaotic battle. They would not deliberately attack humans and the Fox Demon clan. Therefore, the Joint Council decided on the Great Fission Law. When the Dark Realm underwent a major fission, all the fox demons had to put aside their hatred and unite immediately to find the nearest fox demon to build a defensive line against the elemental beast tide. To put it more bluntly, even if the two teams were still fighting each other a quarter of an hour ago, when the Great Fission arrived, the two teams would immediately join forces and become allies. Furthermore, after the Great Fission ended, they were not allowed to kill each other. It would take a full 3 days before they could continue killing each other. After hearing Yao Li's Great Fission Law, Yang Dingtian said seriously, "Then I'll join as well." Yao Li said, "You don't have to. You're a human. You don't have to participate in the Great Fission Law." "But I'm also one of the intelligent life forms. Before the apocalypse, all intelligent life forms have to participate in the battle," Yang Dingtian said. Yao Li said, "But you'll die. Perhaps you don't know this, but even if all the fox elites were to unite, there's an 80 to 90% chance that they would all be wiped out. If you were alone, you would definitely be able to escape successfully. But if you join us, the chances of you dying are very, very high. You still have a very important mission to complete. You still have to save the human nation." Yang Dingtian said, "If you can't even save your own comrade, then talking about saving the world would just be a hypocritical empty talk." Yao Li took a deep look at Yang Dingtian and said solemnly, "Very well, if we're lucky enough to survive the Great Fission Day, then for the rest of your life, I'll follow you to save your life. Then for the rest of my life, I will definitely follow you and help you complete the task of saving the human countries. This is my oath. If I violate it, may the heavens strike me down." Yang Dingtian extended his hand. Yao Li also extended her hand and shook his. At this moment, everything on the ground had been turned upside down. Countless lands had been transformed into terrifying abysses. Countless elemental creatures were crazily killing each other as if the end of the world had arrived. Yang Dingtian carried 2 people and tied up 3 others. He immediately approached the nearest fox elites and executed the Great Fission Law. Soon, Yang Dingtian discovered a line of fox elites. There were more than 100 of them. Yang Dingtian was overjoyed. Then he quickly rushed toward the fox elite's line of defense. But soon, Yang Dingtian's expression changed abruptly because he saw that the leader of the fox elite's line of defense was actually Yao Leng of the Moro tribe. This was Yang Dingtian and Yao Li's mortal enemy. If they encountered him, he would definitely want to tear Yang Dingtian and the others into pieces. At this moment, Yao Leng, the leader of the line of defense, quickly discovered Yang Dingtian's group. His expression changed drastically. Then he gritted his teeth and roared. Yao Li's team discovered survivors. Team 1, Team 2, immediately go forward and bring them to the line of defense. Immediately, the 2 teams rushed out from the line of defense to receive Yang Dingtian and Yao Li's team. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's body shook violently. He felt a burst of heat. Yao Leng was definitely a despicable and shameless person. But during the Great Fission Law, he was able to disregard former enmity and resolutely execute the Great Fission Law. It was truly shocking. Soon, under the support of the 2 teams, Yang Dingtian, Yao Li, and the others entered the line of defense very smoothly. This was a simple circular line of defense. Yao Leng said loudly, "Level 14 and above is at the outermost layer. Level 13 and above is at the second layer." Yang Dingtian and the others all broke through to level 13 and immediately joined the second layer of defense. Then, the entire line of defense was like a single entity, allowing the earth to tear apart wildly and firmly nailed to the ground. There were not many elemental creatures in this area. There were only about 100 of them. Moreover, they were all fighting each other and did not have the time to care about the line of defense for the time being. Occasionally, 1 or 2 elemental creatures would charge toward the line of defense. They were all killed by the level 15 and above experts in the line of defense. Then, many energy essences floated in the air, but no one took them. In the Great Fission Law, survival was the most important. Even if the elemental creatures were killed, they were not allowed to take the energy essences. They could only let them scatter in the air. Of course, if the line of defense moved to the vicinity of the energy essences, they could take them. However, only the leader of the line of defense could take them. After the Great Fission ended, they would be distributed fairly. Then, who would be the leader of the Great Fission Law? It was very simple. Whoever built this line of defense first would be the leader. No matter how low their cultivation was, they would still be the leader. And if the two lines of defense met and merged, then the leader of the line of defense with more people would become the leader of the merged line of defense. Boom, 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 boom. The fission of the earth was still ongoing. The surrounding ground was still wildly tearing apart and collapsing. Therefore, the line of defense could not remain motionless. It had to be constantly moving to ensure that it did not fall into the abyss. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, an extremely intense tremor came from the ground. 100 miles away, a large group of elemental creatures was madly charging over. There were more than a few thousand of them. The leader of the line of defense, Yao Leng, immediately shouted, "Everyone, move toward the northwest to avoid the elemental beast tide." Then the entire direction began to move rapidly toward the west. At the same time, more and more elemental creatures began to attack the line of defense. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The outermost layer of the line of defense began to attack. Instantly, one elemental creature after another died 100 meters away from them. At present, not a single elemental creature could charge within 100 meters. Just like this, the line of defense moved quickly while killing the charging elemental creatures. At this time, Yang Dingtian had calculated clearly. There were a total of 123 people in the entire line of defense. Among them, there were a total of 15 powerhouses of the 15th level and above, 38 powerhouses of the 14th level and above, 88 powerhouses of the 13th level and above, and 45 powerhouses of the 13th level and below. So far, the line of defense had not suffered any casualties. Suddenly, Yao Leng shouted, "Attention, attention, a 16th level sky scorpion is approaching. Warriors of the first floor, kill it with all your might. Warriors of the second floor, you are responsible for killing the scattered elemental creatures that are attacking the line of defense." Yes. Immediately, the warriors of the outermost layer went all out to kill the 16th level sky scorpion. And Yang Dingtian, who was on the second floor, began to kill the scattered elemental creatures that were attacking the line of defense with all their might. Yang Dingtian held the near Emperor-grade soul sword and the million-spirit demon fire, constantly bombarding the elemental creatures. Dozens of 13th level powerhouses attacked with all their might. One by one, the elemental creatures died 50 meters away. That's right, 50 meters. The warriors of the first floor could kill the elemental creatures from 100 meters away, and the 13th level powerhouses of the second floor could only kill them from 50 meters away. Just like this, a moment later, the 16th level sky scorpion was killed by all the warriors of the 14th level and above more than 10 meters away. This was a very dangerous distance. If another 17th or 18th level elemental creature came, it would be extremely dangerous. And what was the most dangerous situation? It was encountering a shadow demon. Once encountering a shadow demon, even if it was 13th or 14th level, it basically meant that the whole team would be wiped out. This was because the shadow demon could teleport, and whoever it looked at in the eyes, that person would immediately lose their mind and go crazy. Therefore, the whole team could only pray that they did not encounter the shadow demon, or they were destined to be wiped out. But the luck of Yao Leng's line of defense was obviously extremely bad. Whatever they were most afraid of encountering, it came. "Shadow demon, shadow demon!" Yao Leng screamed. 10 miles away, there is a 16th level shadow demon. Suddenly, everyone's expression changed drastically, as if doomsday had arrived. Chapter 8:36. At this moment, Yao Leng could only pray that this shadow demon didn't notice them. Once they were targeted, it meant that they would all be wiped out. Moreover, he began to order the defense line to evacuate as quickly as possible, trying to stay away from this demon spirit's vision. Their luck was not bad. This level 16 demon spirit didn't notice them for the time being. Instead, it was constantly hunting and devouring other elemental creatures. Demon spirits should be considered as half of the overlords in the elemental world. When facing elemental creatures with hard bodies, it was almost invincible. However, in the face of pure energy creatures, it was completely helpless because it was purely a physical attack. At this time, it was crazily slaughtering countless elemental creatures. It went in and out of the elemental creatures, and wherever it passed, it was almost crushed into pieces. Countless energy essences were directly devoured by it before they could burst out. Even some level 17 and even level 18 elemental creatures couldn't stop its slaughter. Meanwhile, the demon fox experts that Yang Dingtian was in were retreating rapidly. But their luck seemed to have run out. Because this level 16 demon spirit suddenly stared at this team of more than 100 people and then stared at them blankly. Everyone immediately avoided its gaze and retreated with all their might. It's over, it's over! Because this demon spirit began to jump excitedly, which meant that it had a strong interest in this team. It had already decided to slaughter this team of more than 100 people. And there was no way to stop it. Escaping was already useless. The demon spirit's speed was extremely fast. It was completely flashing. At this moment, a half-step saint expert beside Yao Leng said, "Why don't we disband the defense line? This way, some of them still have a chance of survival." When the human countries formed teams to fight low-level demon spirits, the only way was to use low-level warriors as cannon fodder and let the demon spirit slaughter them. Then, the high-level warriors would hide behind and attack with all their strength. But the demon spirits that humans could eliminate were only less than 1,000 years old. And this demon spirit in front of them, who knew how old it was? So, this half-step saint was right. Disband the team and everyone ran on their own. There was still a chance of survival against the demon spirit, but that was likely to be torn apart by other elemental creatures. Yao Leng suddenly gritted his teeth and said, "According to the Great Fission Law, once the defense line is established, unless death or the Great Fission ends, it can't be disbanded." Suddenly, everyone fell silent and no longer mentioned the method of running for their lives. Yao Leng shouted, "Everyone, be on guard. Attack with all your might based on your intuition. As for the outcome, let's leave it to fate." Immediately, everyone closed their eyes in despair and circulated their profound qi, planning to launch a final attack before they died. This was because there was no difference between opening and closing one's eyes when fighting Mo Ling. Because of the demon spirit flash, it was impossible to aim. Death was about to come. That was because the demon spirit had appeared, and it had rushed over. It was also at this moment that Yang Dingtian said, "I'll deal with this demon spirit. Everyone, cover me and don't let other elemental creatures approach me." After saying that, Yang Dingtian flashed out. Everyone suddenly cried out in surprise. Yao Leng also looked at everything in disbelief. Was this human completely crazy? To face a 16th order shadow demon alone, let alone a 13th order one, even an 18th order powerhouse, or even a saint-level powerhouse, would die without a doubt. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, two black shadows suddenly met in the middle. Yang Dingtian's appearance instantly attracted this demon spirit. Its small body suddenly pounced on Yang Dingtian's body. Everyone almost couldn't help but close their eyes, waiting for this human to be smashed into pieces. However, a scene that shocked everyone appeared. This demon spirit was actually riding on Yang Dingtian's neck. Moreover, its sharp claws were scratching his neck, but it didn't make a move. Its mouth was constantly chattering. However, at this moment, many elemental creatures had already gathered around, wanting to attack Yang Dingtian and the demon spirit together. The demon spirit could withstand them, but Yang Dingtian couldn't. One of them was even a 15th order one. Yang Dingtian would basically die after being hit by one or two. Yao Leng shouted, "Everyone move, get close to that person, attack other elemental creatures and provide cover." Following his order, the entire team quickly moved to Yang Dingtian's side. Then the entire team attacked the other elemental creatures with all their strength. Yang Dingtian didn't care about hiding at this time. He took out a 4th order demon spirit and placed it on the ground. This 16th order demon spirit immediately jumped down from his body and sniffed this 4th order demon spirit desperately. It wanted to devour it greedily, but it was a little afraid, so it squatted on the ground in a daze, chattering, hesitating, and entangling. Yang Dingtian pulled out his near-emperor grade soul sword and began to slash the demon spirit's limbs. The demon fox experts in the defensive line were completely stunned. Was this person crazy? It wasn't easy to get the shadow demon's attention, but he actually took the initiative to attack. This was completely courting death. However, an incomparably strange thing happened again. This 16th order shadow demon actually allowed him to attack it. It still squatted on the ground and chattered without moving. However, Yang Dingtian was also in a lot of pain. The limbs of a 16th order demon spirit were really hard to the extreme. Even his near-emperor grade soul sword couldn't do anything to it. Thus, Yang Dingtian could only force out the million-spirit demon fire, raise the temperature to the extreme, and then slash wildly. Even so, it took him over 10,000 slashes before the 16th order demon spirit's limbs were completely cut off. Then this demon spirit suddenly lost all its threat. This was really an eye-opener for Yao Leng. This was the first time he saw someone who could kill such a powerful shadow demon, and actually have a weapon that could cut off the shadow demon's claws. After cutting off the claws, Yang Dingtian began to attack this demon spirit with all his strength. Experts of 15th order and above, attack this shadow demon with all your strength. Yao Leng ordered loudly. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately, several half-step saints and above attacked with all their strength. In less than 15 minutes, this 16th order demon spirit's energy shield was destroyed, and then it was easily killed. Yang Dingtian used his fastest speed to put the corpse of the 16th order demon spirit into the energy cloak, and then put the 16th order energy essence into the energy jade box. After everything was done, Yang Dingtian returned to the team. Do we need to hand over this spoil of war? Yang Dingtian suddenly asked. Yao Leng hesitated for a moment. Of course, he wanted this 16th order energy essence very much. However, this human in front of him saved the fate of the entire defense line, and he took the initiative to attack. According to the Great Fission Law, he could monopolize all the spoils of war. Thus, he shook his head somewhat unwillingly. Beast-tide, beast-tide. Suddenly, someone cried out in alarm. Sure enough, the entire ground shook violently. Countless elemental creatures covered the sky and covered the earth, and there were at least several thousand of them. Just now, the team retreated in the northwest direction to avoid the elemental creature tide. Now that they were delayed by the demon spirit, these elemental creatures finally attacked. They were completely black and densely packed. They ran wildly while killing each other. At this moment, it was too late to escape and hide. Yao Leng shouted, "Prepare for battle." Immediately, the entire team pulled out their weapons and prepared for battle. Whether they lived or died, it all depended on this battle. First of all, it was impossible to pray that this elemental creature tide didn't target them because the elemental creature attack on the Great Fission Day was completely random. Several thousand elemental creatures meant that there would definitely be a group of them attacking this team crazily. Soon, these several thousand elemental creatures suddenly arrived in front of them. Sure enough, more and more elemental creatures began to charge over crazily. Without needing Yao Leng's order, more than 100 experts immediately attacked these elemental creatures crazily. The powerful experts killed the high-level elemental creatures. The weak ones killed the low-level elemental creatures. And Yang Dingtian had almost exhausted his celestial chi after killing the demon spirit just now. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to absorb celestial chi. In less than a quarter of an hour, his celestial chi had completely recovered. At this moment, there were already dozens of elemental creatures crazily charging over. All the experts went all out, but there was no end to it. Suddenly, they saw this group of elemental creatures getting closer and closer. 50 meters. 30 meters. 20 meters. Once this group of elemental creatures got completely close and charged into the crowd, it would mean that the entire team would be wiped out. Because once the formation was messed up, the lethality of the defense line would be greatly reduced. "Sir, use the occult flame lightning," Yao Zi said loudly. But the occult flame lightning was ineffective against most elemental creatures. These elemental creatures weren't living beings with physical bodies, so they weren't afraid of lightning energy at all. But at this rate, the entire defense line would be wiped out in less than a quarter of an hour. Yang Dingtian thought that the occult flame lightning with the addition of the void-splitting fire seemed to be a different energy form from the previous flash. It was really like the terrifying light of a nuclear explosion. So, rather than waiting for death, he might as well give it a try. So, Yang Dingtian summoned the Million Spirit Demon Fire of the Chaos attribute, then the Demon Spirit Demon Fire of the Chaos attribute, and finally the Transparent Void-Splitting Fire. He injected all his celestial chi into the 3 occult flames. At this moment, the elemental creatures were getting closer and closer. 15 meters. 10 meters. 8 meters. Moreover, more and more elemental creatures were charging over. In less than 2 or 3 minutes at most, they would charge in. Yao Zi sighed coldly. Although the Great Fission Law had allowed them to live for a few more hours, they were still wiped out in the end. Perhaps the Great Fission Day meant the end of the world. Soon they would charge in and the entire team would be wiped out. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's 3 occult flames suddenly flew into the air, above the elemental creatures, and crashed into them. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion. It was like an explosion of a nuclear bomb. The whole world seemed to be torn apart, and a blinding light burst out. Chapter 8:37. The light that illuminated the area within 1,000 miles made this earth-shattering Great Fission Day look even more like the end of the world. Yang Dingtian shouted, "Everyone at the defensive line, get into formation and resist the shock wave." Instantly, the defensive line of more than 100 people put away their surprise and activated all their celestial chi to resist the shock wave that was roaring towards them. At this moment, the killing range that Yang Dingtian set was very small, and the distance from the defensive line was at least a few dozen meters. Boom! However, when the powerful shock wave hit them, there were still countless people who violently vomited blood. The strongest people at the 14th level and above in the outermost layer bore most of the energy of the shock wave. Otherwise, those below the 12th level would have lost their lives if they were swept by the shock wave. Moreover, it was fortunate that more than 100 people had gathered into one unit. If there were only a few people, they would have been immediately sent flying by the shock wave. How powerful was Yang Dingtian's 3 mysterious flame lightning now? When he was still at the 11th level, the 3 mysterious flame lightning was enough to kill spirits of the 16th level and above. Now, Yang Dingtian was already at the 9th level of the 13th level, so it should be enough to kill elemental creatures of the 18th level. The only thing to worry about now was whether the 3 mysterious flame lightning was purely electric energy, and whether it could kill these elemental creatures. A moment later, the terrifying glow gradually faded away. Even though there was no air here, everyone still held their breaths, waiting to see the result of that world-destroying light. They saw, the center of the explosion was completely littered with corpses. Of the hundreds of elemental creatures that attacked, 80 to 90% were already dead, and a considerable number of them were smashed into pieces. There were still more than a dozen elemental creatures left, all of which were at the 15th level and above, but at this moment, they seemed to have been completely stunned by the explosion and were standing on the spot, trembling nonstop. Everyone was completely shocked and looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. This was a 13th level expert? This was too exaggerated to be able to kill hundreds of elemental creatures in seconds. The power of the 3 mysterious flame lightning just now was probably beyond the 18th level. Everyone present was speechless. Yao Leng immediately shouted, "Everyone, attack and kill the remaining high-level elemental creatures." Therefore, hundreds of people attacked together and killed all the trembling elemental creatures on the ground. The terrifying wave of elemental creatures had passed, and the defensive line was temporarily safe. Within the defensive line, they began to take turns to recover their battle Xianqi. Meanwhile, Yang Dingtian had completely become a national treasure. As the leader of the defensive line, Yao Leng directly ordered him not to make a move at any time and to receive protection in the center of the defensive line. Only under two circumstances would Yang Dingtian make a move to turn the tide. The first possibility was that Shadow Demon had arrived. The second scenario was the frenzied attack of a large number of elemental creatures. It could be said that if it were not for Yang Dingtian, the two lines of defense would have been completely wiped out. At this moment, the safety of the defensive line was no longer a problem for the time being. Thus, everyone began to be concerned about who this powerful human was. How did he enter the umbral realm? Of course, although they had doubts in their hearts, no one directly asked. Of course, Yao Ling knew the name Yang Dingtian. He even had some understanding of this human. After all, he was the master of the Human Council of Light and the master of the Tiando League. However, before this, Yao Ling was absolutely dismissive of Yang Dingtian. In this aspect, he was the same as Yao Li. They both treated humans as ants. The so-called Tiando League and the Council of Light were like organizations playing house in his eyes. Even after Yang Dingtian stole the energy essence of the level 15 fire dragon from him and saved Yao Li, Yao Ling still looked down on him. He felt that this human was only cunning and despicable and did not have any abilities. But now he was truly in awe. This was not just powerful, it was completely against the natural order. Moreover, this human seemed to be less than 27 years old. This was too terrifying. It seemed that the cultivation efficiency of humans was far beyond that of the Demon Fox clan. No wonder, whether it was the ancient Naga or the current Little Western Paradise, they had to borrow seeds from humans in order to give birth to the descendants of the demigod. There was indeed a very, very powerful factor in the human body. However, due to lifespan and other related elements, the cultivation limit of humans was far lower than that of the Demon Fox clan. Therefore, the martial arts standard of humans was basically 2 levels lower than that of the Little Western Paradise. The Little Western Paradise had more than a dozen saint-level powerhouses, but humans had not had a saint-level powerhouse for hundreds of years. The Little Western Paradise had many saint-level powerhouses, but humans only had 1 or 2 at most. However, Yang Dingtian in front of him had completely overturned all of Yao Ling's understanding of humans. This was really against the natural order. No one knew how long the Great Fission Day would last. It might be a few minutes if it was short, or a few days if it was long. When the 2 suns came out again, and the energy between heaven and earth was completely restored to the yang element, the Great Fission would end. It was very obvious that the Great Fission this time would last for a very long time. Subsequently, the defensive line was still facing the northwest direction. Because Yang Dingtian's 3 mystic flame lightning had brought about an extremely intense light, it could be seen from 1,000 miles away. Therefore, the surrounding elemental creatures might have instinctively advanced towards this direction. Therefore, this defense line still had to leave this place as soon as possible. Throughout the whole process, although there were still elemental creatures constantly attacking, there were only a few dozen of them at most. A team of more than 100 people could easily get rid of them. Just like that, the entire defense line left this place relatively smoothly and kept going north. Yang Dingtian did not have a chance to make a move. Along the way, they also encountered a 5th-level demon soul. Just as the whole team was on high alert and Yang Dingtian was ready to rush out, the 5th-level demon soul killed a bunch of elemental creatures and quickly left. About 500 miles later, the Little Western Paradise team saw a group of their own kind. This was also a defense line, and there were only a few dozen of them. However, they had all become corpses, and their corpses were incomplete. That's right, under the Great Fission Law, the Fox Demon powerhouses had all spontaneously formed a defense line, but not every defense line was so lucky. Then, 800 miles away, they encountered another Fox Demon team, and they were also full of incomplete corpses. After a full day and night, this defense line had moved about 2,000 miles. As for Yang Dingtian, he had made 4 moves and killed a 5th-level demon soul, and released 3 mystical fire lightning, bombarding 3 waves of large elemental creatures. The entire Fox Demon team was in despair as they moved. They kept looking up at the sky, hoping that the two suns could break free from the darkness and let the Umbral Realm continue to return to normal. However, the sky was still dark, and the two suns were still blocked. The entire Umbral Realm was still crazily tearing and turning upside down. The Great Fission had been going on for more than 30 hours. If it went on for any longer, the Umbral Realm would basically be destroyed. At this time, the entire Umbral Realm was full of abysses. Throughout the whole process, the team even encountered a few fatal crises. It was not because of the elemental creatures, but because the ground under their feet was suddenly torn apart, and they almost fell into the abyss. The entire second Umbral Realm was constantly tearing apart, integrating, and collapsing. And the beast waves were getting more frequent. The impact was also getting stronger. And most importantly, the space for the team to move was getting smaller and smaller. The flat land in the Umbral Realm was getting less and less, and there were abysses everywhere. In the last two times, even with Yang Dingtian's 3 mystical fire lightning, more than a dozen high-level elemental creatures rushed into the team, and they were almost wiped out. Everyone's heart became extremely heavy. They had withstood this wave, but what about the next one? And the one after that? As long as the Great Fission did not end, there would be a large-scale beast wave that would completely destroy this team. It was as if the fate of being wiped out was already unavoidable. Taking advantage of a gap in the battle, Yao Li suddenly found Yao Lung and said, "Your Excellency Yao Lung, I have an opinion." Yao Lung frowned and said, "Speak." Yao Li said, "If this continues, we will definitely be wiped out. It's just a matter of time. Maybe next time, or the time after that." Although Yao Lung was unhappy, he had to admit that Yao Li was right. Yao Li said, "Whether our line of defense can survive or not, the key lies with Mr. Yang Dingtian. And with his current cultivation, he's already starting to fall short of his desire. When the next and the next large-scale beast wave comes, his mystical fire lightning will already be powerless to destroy it." Yao Lung said, "What do you want to say? Hurry up." Yao Li said, "Use all your strength to let Mr. Yang Dingtian break through immediately. Break through as much as he can." Yao Lung frowned slightly and said, "But there's no such thing in the Great Fission Law." Yao Li said, "That's because when the Great Fission Law was designated, it did not consider that there would be such a crucial savior. All of the Great Fission Law serves the survival of the line of defense. Therefore, I suggest to let Mr. Yang Dingtian break through with all his strength. We'll hand over all of our energy essence to let Mr. Yang Dingtian break through." Yao Lung gritted his teeth and fell into a difficult choice. Yao Li was naturally right. Whether this line of defense could survive or not, the key was Yang Dingtian. If Yao Li was strong enough, then his 3 profound fire lightning would be incomparably powerful. But to make him use the entire team to provide for Yang Dingtian just like this and let him break through, he was seriously somewhat unwilling. Right at this time, Yao Lung discovered that everyone's gazes were looking at him, all filled with anticipation and pleading. Between jealousy and survival, everyone naturally chose survival without any hesitation. Surviving was the most important thing. Yao Lung suddenly gritted his teeth and nodded, and said, "All right, our entire line of defense, over 100 people, let Yang Dingtian break through with all our might." The surrounding people shouted loudly. Chapter 8:38. All the teams in the defensive line, please hand over the rank 14 energy essences in your storage, so that His Excellency Yang Dingtian can achieve the greatest breakthrough, so that he can kill more elemental creatures and help us get through this difficult time, Yao Ling said. Then, the leaders of more than 100 people present handed over the energy jade boxes in their hands, which contained their gains. Suddenly, a total of 11 energy jade boxes were placed in Yao Lung's hands. All of them were rank 14 energy essences. Yao Lung counted the numbers. There were a total of 13 rank 14 energy essences. Yes, only 13, and no one was hiding them. More than 100 people present added up to only 13 rank 14 energy essences. This was normal data. This was the true result of the Fox Clan's experts hunting in the Dark Realm. To think that Yang Dingtian's crazy hunting was unique. Yao Lung couldn't help but frown, 13 was not enough. He couldn't help but look at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian said, I have an energy essence close to rank 15, and 3 ordinary rank 14 energy essences here. It should be just enough. Yao Ling handed all the energy essences to Yang Dingtian. This energy essence close to rank 15, was it born close to rank 15, or was it synthesized? Yang Dingtian said, it was born close to rank 15 elemental creature. Yao Ling said, that won't do, although it's close to rank 15, it's not an ultimate energy essence. The concentration is not enough. Yang Dingtian was stunned, then nodded. That's right, he didn't pay attention to this. Therefore, this energy essence close to rank 15 couldn't be used directly, it still had to be synthesized. Before Yang Dingtian synthesized the energy essence, he first built an energy shield in the air. Because it was the Great Fission Day, the world was turned upside down, and the energy was out of balance. The energy essences in the air were turned to ashes in an instant, unable to be preserved, and needed to be protected with an energy shield. 1 close to rank 15, and 16 close to rank 14 energy essences. In the end, they were very lucky, and just happened to synthesize 3 close to rank 15 ultimate energy essences. Because 1 close to rank 15 and 2 close to rank 14 were able to synthesize close to rank 15 ultimate energy essences. The remaining 14 were synthesized into 2 close to rank 15 ultimate energy essences. At this time, the team was moving while fighting. Yang Dingtian had to make the best use of his time and devour the energy essence to break through. Hold on. Suddenly, Yao Ling opened his mouth to stop him. It's still too risky to consume 3 peak essences close to rank 15. If you don't break through, then you'll have consumed most of these 3 energy essences for nothing. To be on the safe side, it's better to get another peak essence close to rank 15. With a total of 4, you'll have more confidence in breaking through to rank 14. Although Yang Dingtian felt that 3 ultimate essences close to tier 15 might be enough, the current leader of the party was Yao Ling. He nodded in agreement. Yao coldly said, you know blink. In the battle later, we will eliminate the 14th rank elemental creatures last. When you are about to be killed, you will immediately blink out and get the energy essence. You have to be fast, or you'll be turned into ashes immediately. Alright, Yang Dingtian said. Then, the entire defensive line entered a temporary state of wholeheartedly helping Yang Dingtian break through. All the demonic beasts that came to attack, regardless of their level, would leave the 14th rank elemental creatures for last. But even so, after a full 6 hours, they only got 4 14th rank energy essences. There was no other way. Although there were many elemental creatures that came to attack, they just happened to be 14th rank. Moreover, they happened to be killed at the last moment, and Yang Dingtian only got 4 energy essences. Everyone could only pray that a large-scale elemental beast tide would not come before this. This time, the party's luck was not too bad. Because in the next 2 hours, a total of 3 14th rank elemental creatures appeared. Therefore, Yang Dingtian collected 7 14th rank essences in one go. Then, he carried out the synthesis in the energy shield, and sure enough, he got a peak essence close to rank 15. Now, Yang Dingtian had 4 peak essences close to rank 15 in his hands. It should be enough to break through to rank 14. Yang Dingtian immediately sat down. Under the protection of more than 100 people, he began to devour the energy essences. Boom! Endless energy suddenly poured into Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. 1 was exhausted. 2 were exhausted. Finally, his sea of qi felt expansion. 3 energy essences were exhausted. At this time, his sea of qi had expanded to the extreme. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosion in his sea of qi. Then, Yang Dingtian's entire body and consciousness fell into nothingness. Finally, he broke through to rank 14. After a lot of hardships, almost half a year's time, he finally broke through to rank 14 from rank 13, rank 9. Moreover, he did not rely on his own hunting in the end, but with the help of the Demon Fox clan's expert team under the Great Fission Law, he broke through to rank 14. For this result, Yang Dingtian really did not expect it. It was really the so-called unpredictable world. Even when Yang Dingtian gave up the hope of breaking through to rank 14, he actually used this method to break through. After breaking through to rank 14, Yang Dingtian still had a peak essence close to rank 15 left in his hands. Yang Dingtian continued to devour. Just a quarter of an hour later, his sea of qi expanded again and expanded. Boom! Yang Dingtian broke through again, breaking through to rank 14, rank 1. Of course, in the end, Yang Dingtian's cultivation stopped at rank 14, rank 1. When he opened his eyes, Yao Leng, Yao Li, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. Breaking through to rank 14 was good. That meant that his combat strength would be improved further. Then, Yang Dingtian immediately took a mystic gathering pill and used the fastest speed to recover his combat mystic qi. In just a quarter of an hour, his mystic qi was completely recovered. In less than an hour, Yao Leng suddenly sounded an alarm. There's a rank 16 demon spirit 20 miles away. Before he could finish his words, the 16th Order Advanced Demon Spirit immediately jumped on top of the team and began to jump desperately. It was very straightforward and decisive. In just a moment, this demon spirit flashed over in an instant, wanting to slaughter this team of more than 100 people. Yang Dingtian also flashed out quickly and intercepted this rank 16 demon spirit when it was still 30 meters away from the team. Even though everyone had already seen it twice, when the same scene happened again, everyone was still shocked. Just like that, after more than an hour, this rank 16 demon spirit was directly killed. Yang Dingtian immediately got the energy essence and the demon spirit's corpse. This rank 16 demon spirit seemed to be just a preview. Next, the world turned upside down and entered the most intense moment. Immediately after, an incomparably powerful black wave of elemental beasts came crazily. The number was completely uncountable. It was pitch black, vast, and boundless. And the direction just happened to be the line of defense where Yao Leng was. This wave of beasts came completely unexpectedly, because at this time, the world was shaking too violently. Even if countless elemental creatures were galloping, they couldn't be seen at all. The whole earth was still crazily tearing apart, forming abyss after abyss. Countless elemental creatures suddenly fell and were completely swallowed by the abyss. Some directly rushed out of the abyss, while others were directly crushed into pieces by the collapsing and closing abyss, vanishing into thin air. However, there were still countless elemental creatures rushing in this direction. Move quickly and avoid the beast tide. Yao Leng ordered. The entire line of defense quickly retreated to the west, desperately dodging. Their dodging speed was already fast enough to escape the direct impact of the elemental creatures. But it still attracted the attention of many elemental creatures. Then, wave after wave of elemental creatures crazily rushed over. So, the whole team of more than 100 people, except for Yang Dingtian, attacked crazily. More and more elemental creatures were rushing over, when they were still 100 meters away. Yang Dingtian didn't hesitate and directly used all his strength to release the 3 mysterious fire lightning. After the 3 mysterious fires condensed all the mysterious qi, they suddenly flew out 100 meters away, enveloping the elemental creatures that were rushing over. The last 3 mysterious fires collided violently. Boom! Once again, there was a light that was close to the explosion of a nuclear bomb. Once again, everyone was almost blinded and lost their vision. At this time, Yang Dingtian was already rank 14, rank 1. The power of the 3 mysterious fire lightning was also much stronger than when he was rank 13, rank 9. After a while, the light dissipated. Hundreds of elemental creatures were completely annihilated. There were still dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. That's right, Yang Dingtian's 3 mysterious fire lightning was much stronger, because many rank 14 elemental creatures were also instantly killed. But this wave of elemental creatures was too strong, so there were still dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. In other words, it was fortunate that Yang Dingtian had broken through to rank 14 in time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to survive this wave of elemental creatures. After the battle, Yang Dingtian immediately sat down cross-legged and swallowed mysterious gathering pills to recover his battle mysterious qi. Yao Leng screamed desperately and ordered everyone to attack the dozens of high-level elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. Yang Dingtian was in a race against time because the elemental creatures behind him were endless, constantly joining the attacking team. So, the original dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive became huge again. Yang Dingtian desperately stuffed the mystic gathering elixir into his body. In less than 7 minutes, he had recovered his battle mystic chi. At this time, the elemental creatures were already within 30 meters of him. Yang Dingtian's 3 mysterious fire lightning began to condense all the mysterious chi and then burst out. Boom! Another light that resembled a nuclear bomb, an incomparably gorgeous and resplendent attack. Another hundreds of elemental creatures were annihilated. Countless energy crystals were annihilated just as they entered the field of vision. Now, the energy field of the Dark Realm was even more chaotic and terrifying. It was also desperately adjusting itself, trying to bring the entire Dark Realm back to balance. So, in the chaotic energy field, it was almost impossible to preserve the energy essence. After the 3 mysterious fire lightning, there were still dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. Yao Leng continued to order everyone to kill with all their might, while Yang Dingtian continued to recover his battle mysterious chi quickly. By the time Yang Dingtian recovered his mysterious chi and released the 3 mysterious fire lightning for the 3rd time in this battle, this wave of elemental creatures was already 10 meters away. Yang Dingtian's 3rd wave of 3 mysterious fire lightning killed hundreds of elemental creatures again, but there were still dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. In the end, under the desperate attacks of more than 100 people, this wave of elemental creatures were all killed a few feet in front of the defensive line. And the elemental creatures at the back had completely gathered to the scale of a few hundred, and once again, they pounced forward crazily. Yao Leng and Yang Dingtian instantly exchanged glances. These 2 people clearly knew in their hearts. That wave just now was already the limit of the entire team. This wave of elemental attacks could no longer be stopped. Although Yang Dingtian could still kill hundreds of elemental creatures, there were still dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive. They would definitely charge into the defensive line with this team. And once they were charged into the defensive line, it would basically mean that they were finished. Yang Dingtian did not have any expression on his face. He immediately sat down cross-legged and desperately swallowed mysterious gathering pills, desperately recovering his battle mysterious chi. Although he knew in his heart that this wave of elemental creatures could no longer be stopped, to give up without a fight and to run away without a fight was definitely not Yang Dingtian's style. Even if he did not have to stay behind, and could definitely escape, he still wanted to fight to the end. Although there was almost no friendship between them, he would definitely not abandon the team at this time. While Yang Dingtian was madly swallowing mysterious gathering pills, it was completely destructive to recover his battle mysterious chi. After about 5 minutes, he had completely recovered his battle mysterious chi. At this time, this wave of elemental creatures was almost in front of them. Yang Dingtian's 3 mysterious fire lightning, after condensing, violently bombarded. Boom! Once again, the light that seemed to tear the sky apart. Then, hundreds of elemental creatures, once again, turned into ashes. And the team of more than 100 people, once again spat out blood, and some were even seriously injured by the shockwave. However, this time, there were still dozens of high-level elemental creatures that were crazily charging forward. Boom 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 boom. Yao Leng's 100 people at the defensive line did not even have time to wipe the blood from their mouths. They desperately bombarded, desperately trying to stop these elemental creatures from approaching. However, they were still getting closer and closer, closer and closer. The despair in everyone's eyes was getting more and more intense, and more intense. It was over. It was too late, destined to be destroyed, destined to be completely annihilated. At this time, Yang Dingtian even discovered that among the dozens of elemental creatures that were lucky enough to survive, there were actually 3 that were above the saint level. They were definitely going to be completely annihilated. At this time, Yang Dingtian's celestial chi was already exhausted, and even if he wanted to escape, he could not do it. They were going to be completely annihilated. The great fission law had finally failed. At this time, suddenly, a huge team appeared in their field of vision, a team of at least 200 people. It was the defensive line of the demonic Fox clan experts, just a dozen miles to the west of them. And the leader of this defensive line just happened to be Yao Li's brother, the Golden clan's young master Yao Ming. Being of the same kind meant that they were powerful allies. Suddenly, the morale of the defensive line was greatly boosted, and they gritted their teeth to carry out the final desperate attack. Then, Yao Leng shouted at Yao Ming's defensive line team, "Yao Ming, according to the Great Fission Law, I request that you come close to me and lend a hand. Then, the two defensive lines will merge, and you will be the new leader of the defensive line." Yao Leng used powerful energy as a medium to transmit the sound wave directly to Yao Ming's ears. Chapter 839. Then, everyone was filled with anticipation as they waited for another powerful team to come to their aid. However, not only did the other side's 200-strong defense line not draw closer, they kept retreating to the north. Yao Leng was completely stunned. How could this be? Yao Leng was despicable, vicious, and shameless. But when the Great Fission arrived, he still strictly followed the Great Fission Law. Even when he was facing enemies like Yao Li and Yang Dingtian, he had to temporarily put down his previous enmity and decisively send someone to guide them into the defensive line. As the young master of the Golden clan, Yao Ming usually had a virtuous reputation. No one expected him to publicly betray the Great Fission Law. One had to know that when the Great Fission Law was signed, all the big and small tribes and all the councillors signed on the Joint Council. His current behavior was a complete betrayal of the Little Western Paradise's Joint Council. Yao Li also looked at all of this in disbelief. Although this brother of hers had always been full of hostility towards her, he usually looked like a pretty good successor. How could he be so despicable and cold at such a time? Not only did he not save his own people in the Little Western Paradise, but he also had two sisters here. Yao Li immediately shouted, "Yao Ming, you don't deserve to be the leader of a defense line. You don't deserve to be the successor of the Golden clan." Yao Zi angrily shouted, "Yao Ming, you will die a horrible death." However, no matter how angry the people in the team were, Yao Ming led the 200-strong team and left completely. Soon, they disappeared without a trace. Yao Leng's 100-strong defense line immediately fell into complete despair. They were in a hopeless situation. Despite their grief and anger, Yao Leng's team still desperately attacked the monsters that were charging at them. However, the outcome of their destruction was already determined. There was no way they could stop them. The dozens of high-level elemental creatures at the front were about to rush in. Meanwhile, the hundreds of elemental creatures in the distance began to gather again, preparing to attack. The outcome of their complete destruction was already decided. Yao Leng sighed in grief and indignation. "Everyone, we have already done our best. This destruction is not a crime of war. We will die honorably." Then he looked at Yang Dingan and said, "It is an honor to fight side by side with Your Excellency Yang Dingan. Yang Dingan, it's an honor to fight alongside everyone from Little Western Paradise." Then, although everyone was still attacking with all their might, they had already closed their eyes and waited for the final moment of death to arrive. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was desperately recovering his profound energy. Of course, he would not allow himself to die like this. After he fought to the last moment, he would bring Yao Li, Yao Leng, and the others away with a flash. However, he would definitely fight until the last moment, until the situation was completely irreversible, or until everyone present had died. Only then would he leave with a few people. Therefore, this could not be considered a betrayal. However, it was impossible for him to die with these 100 people. He wasn't that pedantic. The entire human world still needed him to save it. Even the future Little Western Paradise needed him to save it. The defensive line had completely collapsed. Several high-level elemental creatures rushed in. The moment of total annihilation had arrived. Right at this moment, whoosh 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 whoosh, suddenly, the elemental life forms not far away were crushed into pieces and turned to dust. Then, a shadow rushed in an instant. It was a demon spirit, a level 19 demon spirit. It shuttled back and forth like lightning, killing everything in its path. Instantly, the dozens of high-level demon beasts that attacked the defensive line were instantly torn to pieces. At the same time, there were more than a dozen Fox Clan experts who were all turned to dust. This level 17 demon spirit killed 7 in and 7 out. There was no way it could withstand a single blow. After killing more than 30 Fox Clan experts, it suddenly flashed into the group of elemental lifeforms in the distance and began to kill crazily. Instantly, this group of elemental lifeforms was killed until they wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. Yang Dingtian was about to rush out when Yao Lung suddenly shook his head forcefully. "Sir Yang Dingtian, since we're going to die anyway, let's take a gamble," Yao Lung said. Yang Dingtian knew what he was betting on. He was betting that this level 19 demon spirit would kill all the elemental lifeforms that were attacking. Of course, if he failed, then the less than 100 people left in this defensive line would all be killed. This was because the demonic spirit's killing was completely random. Yao Lung shouted loudly, "Everyone, don't care about any killing. Sit down cross-legged and recover your battle chi." Then, the less than 100 people left, completely disregarding the side effects, desperately swallowed the Mystic Gathering pill and desperately recovered their chi. At this time, even if a few low-level elemental lifeforms rushed in, they could start a massacre. However, under the ravaging of the level 19 demon spirit, not a single elemental lifeform rushed over. This was a heaven-defying demon spirit. It was completely like a gust of wind sweeping away fallen leaves, killing all the elemental lifeforms wave by wave. Yang Dingtian's team's luck was truly too good. Such a large wave of hundreds of elemental lifeforms, almost all of them were killed by the demon spirit. Then the demon spirit desperately jumped and jumped in the air. At this time, it was time for Yang Dingtian to make a move. He immediately rushed out, took out the level 4 evil spirit, and placed it in front of it. Immediately, this level 19 demon spirit squatted in front of the evil spirit again, fell into entanglement and torture, and began to chatter in pain. It wanted to devour this evil spirit, but it didn't dare to devour this evil spirit. Then, Yang Dingtian condensed the million spirit demon fire on the near Emperor grade soul sword and crazily cut off the limbs of this level 19 demon spirit. Yang Dingtian was really going to cry. Really couldn't cut it. The hardness of the level 19 demon spirit's limbs was really not inferior to a near Emperor grade soul sword. Thus, Yang Dingtian tried to add the void-splitting fire and blend it into the million spirit demon fire. It was really awesome. Looking down, the demon spirit's limbs were actually corroded by some kind of terrifying energy, creating a gully. This void-splitting fire was really powerful. When combined with other mystic fires, it was actually twice the result with half the effort. Even so, Yang Dingtian still spent a lot of effort to cut off the demon spirit's limbs. Then Yang Dingtian took away the level 4 evil spirit and retreated with the whole team. That's right, they didn't retreat after killing this demon spirit. Because this level 19 demon spirit, even if the whole team gathered to fight, it would also take more than 15 minutes to fight, even 30 minutes. At this time, a large wave of elemental creatures just happened to pass by. It was precisely the rare quiet period. It was best to make the best use of the time and immediately withdraw. Otherwise, if they encountered the next wave of elemental creatures, they would die without a doubt. And after this level 19 demon spirit saw that the level 4 evil spirit's energy was taken away, it immediately fell into a frenzy and was about to rush up and smash Yang Dingtian into pieces. But it suddenly discovered that it had lost its limbs. But even so, it still pounced onto Yang Dingtian's body like lightning, desperately wanting to tear, but discovered that it had no claws. Hence, it desperately chattered on Yang Dingtian's body without stopping. Yang Dingtian really didn't expect that after its limbs were cut off, it would still flash. However, it did not have any lethality in the end. Yang Dingtian thought for a while, directly took out a thick black cloth, and directly tied its eyes. In this way, this rank 19 demon spirit had completely lost all of its attack power and became a pet. Yao Ling suddenly looked at Yang Dingtian with some gratitude. To be honest, if Yang Dingtian insisted on destroying this demon spirit, the whole team could only accompany him, because this meant that it would be a level 19 energy essence. But Yang Dingtian did not do so for the safety of the whole team. Instead, he gave up on this level 19 energy essence. But in this way, this demon spirit with broken limbs was like a ghost, following Yang Dingtian like a shadow. He could not get rid of it even if he wanted to. The whole team was constantly retreating in the northwest direction. Heaven and earth were still turning upside down, but it seemed to be less intense. Although the level 19 demon spirit that was chattering on Yang Dingtian's body had lost any lethality, everyone was still very afraid of this thing. It was really too terrifying. Just now, there were several saint-level elemental creatures that were torn apart alive by this level 19 shadow demon. So nature was really strange. This demon spirit only had one way of attack, and that was physical attacks. But under extreme speed and sharpness, it was almost invincible. Of course, if 4 or 5 saint-level elemental creatures attacked it at the same time, then this demon spirit would definitely die. However, these elemental creatures were all brainless. All of their attacks were completely random. Although dozens or hundreds of them rushed up together, they were completely fighting for themselves. Sometimes, they even had to fight each other. In this way, a level 19 demon spirit was lying on Yang Dingtian's body. It had lost its limbs and was blindfolded. At first, Yang Dingtian still shuddered a little, but later, he got used to it. It was just a pet that was lying on his body at that time. It was just that this thing kept on chattering, which was really annoying. Moreover, the syllables it uttered were meaningless. And damn it, it was actually not repeated. In this way, the team kept retreating towards the northwest, retreating and retreating. Along the way, they did not encounter too much danger, and Yang Dingtian also did not have a chance to make a move. A full 10 hours later, the defense line retreated more than 1,000 miles. Suddenly, someone pointed to a distance more than 10 miles away and shouted, "Look, a beast tide." Everyone looked over. It was indeed a huge tide of elemental creatures. It was not just the elemental creatures' tide. There was also a huge team of demon fox experts. They saw clearly that it was Yao Ming's 200 demon fox defense line. At this time, it was being attacked crazily by hundreds of elemental creatures. It was on the verge of collapse and was about to collapse and be destroyed. Everyone was stunned. This retribution had come too quickly, hadn't it? A few hours ago, Yao Ming's team did not save Yao Lung and Yang Dingtian's team. Now, it was their turn to be on the verge of destruction. Then, should they go forward and save them? Everyone looked at the leader, Yao Lang. According to the Great Fission Law, they had to go forward and save them. But according to Yao Ming's inaction just now, they deserved to die. Chapter 840. It was unknown why Yao Lung looked over at Yang Dingtian immediately. It was obvious that he was seeking Yang Dingtian's opinion. Yang Dingtian only nodded at him, indicating that he would obey Yao Lung's will. After all, this was Yao Lung's team, not Yang Dingtian's. Yang Dingtian would never steal the limelight. Yao Lung gritted his teeth and said, "Others may not abide by the Great Fission Law, but we must. Charge and help." Everyone shouted in unison. Once something noble began, it would not end easily. Immediately, the remaining team of less than 100 people rushed toward Yao Ming's team as quickly as they could. Yao Ming's team of more than 200 people was already in despair. At this moment, they saw a team of more than 100 people approaching them. Moreover, it seemed that they had just betrayed the team. Their morale was greatly boosted. In an instant, their combat power increased greatly, temporarily suppressing the elemental creatures that were charging toward them. Soon, Yao Lung's team of nearly 100 people approached Yao Ming's team. With the fastest speed, the two teams joined together. Then, the 300 people launched a frenzied attack on the incoming elemental creatures. Immediately, the elemental creatures that had rushed within 10 meters of them were repelled by 20 meters, 30 meters, and so on. After a full hour, this wave of elemental creatures finally passed through. Wave after wave of elemental creatures were completely repelled. After the intensive battle ended, the two teams suddenly became awkward. This was because Yao Ming's team had just betrayed the Great Fission Law a few hours ago. Therefore, they immediately fell into an awkward situation. Yao Li immediately broke the awkwardness and said, "Now that the two teams have combined into one team, and Yao Ming has just betrayed the Great Fission Law, as one of the direct descendants of the Golden Ah clan, I feel that Yao Ming is no longer qualified to be the leader of the defense line. Otherwise, when faced with the same situation again, he will betray the Great Fission Law again. I propose that Yao Leng be the highest and only leader of the new defense line." As soon as she said this, Yao Ming's expression changed. However, he had expected this situation. This was because his sister could not tolerate sand in her eyes. Moreover, only Yao Li was suitable to say such words. After all, she was Yao Ming's sister, and the backbone of Yao Ming's team were all experts from the Golden Ah clan. Immediately after, without waiting for Yao Ming to make any response, Yao Li said directly, "Those who agree with my suggestion, please raise your hands to vote." Immediately, everyone in Yao Leng's team raised their hands. Then, many members of Demonic Cry's team also raised their hands. After all, everything that had just happened was too unforgettable. Yao Ming's betrayal was exchanged for Yao Leng's full support. Without the help of Yao Leng's team, everyone in Yao Ming's team would have died long ago. Soon, most of the 300 people present raised their hands. Thus, Yao Leng became the supreme leader of this defensive line. Then, the entire group of 300 people continued to retreat towards the northwest. During the retreat, the sporadic battles that occurred were no longer able to cause much of an impact. At this time, the original members of Yao Ming's team finally discovered the level 19 demon spirit on Yang Dingtian's body. Immediately, they revealed an extremely shocked expression. There was actually someone in this world who had a demon spirit as a pet. Although it seemed to be a demon spirit with its limbs cut off, and a level 19 demon spirit at that, it was really terrifying. Taking advantage of the short period of silence, Yao Leng said, "The reason why our team of a mere 100 people could survive is almost entirely because of this Mr. Yang Dingtian." Hearing this name, all the experts in Yao Ming's team immediately looked at Yang Dingtian. He was actually a human? And he was Yang Dingtian. That's right, there were quite a number of people in the Fox clan who knew Yang Dingtian. After all, Yang Dingtian was the leader of the Council of Light in the human countries. Yao Leng continued, "And whether Mr. Yang Dingtian is strong or not is the key to whether our entire team can survive or not. Therefore, I request and suggest that our entire team hand over all the energy essence to Mr. Yang Dingtian so that his cultivation can be raised to the highest level. This way, our chances of surviving to the end will be greatly increased." As soon as he said this, many people's expressions changed slightly. Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. Yao Leng's attitude was too anxious. It was really too early to make such a request at this time. "Sure enough," Yao Ming said coldly, "Yao Leng, when did you get bought over by a mere human? Since when did you become so useless? Humans are like ants. You actually said that we have to rely on this human to survive. This is completely absurd." Yao Li and Yao Zi immediately wanted to refute, but they were stopped by Yang Dingtian. "Your Excellency Yao Leng, don't mention this matter to avoid causing disunity in the entire team," Yang Dingtian said. Seeing that most people were looking at him suspiciously, Yao Leng's expression turned ugly. However, he could only let it go. After all, he had just become the leader of the entire team. "Yao Ming, you'll regret this," Yao Leng said slowly. Yao Ming immediately laughed and said, "Regret? This Yang Dingtian is a lowly human. He doesn't belong to the Little Western Paradise's Fox clan. He definitely doesn't have the right to enjoy the protection of the Great Fission Law. I even want to suggest that he be expelled from the team." As soon as he said this, Yao Leng, Yao Li, and Yao Zi's expressions changed drastically. Yao Ming said coldly, "Yao Leng, I admire you for abiding by the Great Fission Law. Because I betrayed the Great Fission Law, I lost my position as the leader of the team. I accept this wholeheartedly. However, in the Great Fission Law, there are no human signatures. This Yang Dingtian doesn't have the right to stay in this defense line, nor does he have the right to receive protection. Therefore, I formally suggest that Yang Dingtian be expelled from the team." As soon as he said this, Yao Li was completely speechless. Idiot, idiot. She was completely unable to use any words to describe her older brother. Normally, it seemed like this older brother of hers wasn't that stupid. Why did he become so intolerably stupid in this special environment? Yao Leng said with surprise, "You've gone mad. Yao Ming, you've gone mad. Do you know what you're doing?" Yao Ming was just speaking casually, but when he saw Yao Li and Yao Leng's reactions, he instantly became even more determined to expel Yang Dingtian from the team. He wanted to vent his anger from having his position as the leader taken away. Immediately, he said word by word, "I'll say it again. If you want to abide by the Great Fission Law, then abide by it completely. However, there's no place for humans in the Great Fission Law. It's very simple. If you don't expel this human, then I'll withdraw. Then, who wants to withdraw with me?" Instantly, over 20 of Yao Ming's trusted aides raised their hands. Amongst them, there were a total of 9 experts at the half-saint realm or above. After that, Yao Ming's gaze swept over, and Yao Yi of the Shadow Spear clan fell into hesitation. Yao Yu of the Shadow Spear clan. That's right, he was Yang Dingtian's younger brother-in-law and Yao Rao and Jia's younger sister. However, his status in the Shadow Spear clan was inferior to Jia, and his presence had always been weak. Yang Dingtian had rarely heard Jia and Yao Nu mention him. Moreover, he wasn't a direct descendant. Of course, even if he wasn't a direct descendant, Yao Yi was Yao Nu's son after all. So, there were still over 20 experts in this group. On the other hand, the Jinha clan and Shadow Spear clan had always been staunch allies. The reason Yao Qi was able to become the chairman was because of these two clans. So, most of the time, the Jinha clan and Shadow Spear clan would advance and retreat together. Because Yao Yi was a bastard, he'd always followed Yao Ming's lead. When he saw Yao Ming look over, he hesitated for a moment before he immediately raised his hand as well. Thus, there were 40 to 50 experts from both clans that raised their hands. Coupled with the others that were scattered, there were 70 to 80 that raised their hands. They agreed with Yao Ming's suggestion to expel Yang Dingtian. Yao Leng was so angry that he started laughing. On the other hand, Yao Li said coldly, "Since it's like that, then let's split up. There's no need to merge. We'll go our separate ways." Yao Leng instantly frowned. Even though he supported Yang Dingtian, it was completely based on benefits. If devil spirits attacked, then there was no doubt that Yang Dingtian's role would be irreplaceable. However, Yao Ming wanted to leave Yang Dingtian behind with 70 to 80 experts. After all, there were close to 20 experts at the half-saint realm and above amongst the 80 that Yao Ming had taken with him. They accounted for almost 2/3 of the experts at the half-saint realm and above. No matter how formidable Yang Dingtian's tri-profound flame lightning was, it shouldn't be able to compare with 20 half-saints. So, Yao Leng wasn't willing to lose 80 experts for nothing just to leave Yang Dingtian behind. It was indeed not worth it. Moreover, the key was that the grand fission was gradually calming down. It seemed like it was about to end. Yao Leng instantly fell into a difficult choice. It was indeed difficult for him to say that he wanted to chase Yang Dingtian away. In the past 2 days, Yang Dingtian had saved the entire team more than once. Now that he wanted to chase Yang Dingtian away for the sake of Yao Ming's dozens of experts, it would be too heartless. Yao Ming sneered, "Yao Leng, you have to make a decision quickly. Otherwise, I'll take it that you're giving up 80 of your fellow fox demons for a human." Yao Li and Yao Zi were instantly infuriated. Was there anything more ridiculous than this in the world? Did Yang Dingtian need the protection of the fox demons' experts? He was protecting the fox demons. If Yang Dingtian was alone, no matter if he was invisible or flashing, he would be safe. He wouldn't be in any danger and could even hunt elemental creatures. Yang Dingtian was such a savior and protector. In order to protect the fox demons, he had sacrificed his own interests. Now, he wanted to chase him away and say that he was taking advantage of the fox demons. It was too ridiculous. Suddenly, Yao Li said coldly, "Your Excellency Yao Leng, you don't have to be so conflicted. We'll leave with His Excellency Yang Dingtian." Therefore, Yao Li, Yao Zi, Bo Lu, Ah Wen, and Ah Wu stood up without hesitation and wanted to leave with Yang Dingtian. Meanwhile, Yang Dingtian let out a soft sigh. Perhaps, the time to part had arrived. Although it was different from what he had imagined, it was probably the best time to leave. It was time to go to the third dark realm. Immediately, Yang Dingtian waved his hand towards Yao Li and was about to bid farewell. Chapter 841. Yang Dingtian will go with you, Yao Li said. Yao Li said, I've said it before. As long as you live, I will always follow you. This is my oath. Yang Dingtian sighed and said, Yao Li, I had once thought about how we would bid farewell to each other. Now, it seems that this is the best way to say goodbye. Haven't you always wanted me to escape alone? You know that if I'm alone, not only will I not be in any danger, but I can also hunt elemental creatures and reap great rewards. Now, the great fission should be nearing its end. You should be safe in this team. As he spoke, Yang Dingtian secretly took out the energy jade box of a 4th grade evil spirit and handed it to Yao Li. If you encounter a demon spirit, use this to attract its attention and then beat it to death. This way, even if you encounter a demon spirit, the one you call a shadow demon, you won't be destroyed. No, if you give this to me, what about the shadow demons you encounter? Yao Li asked. Don't worry. Yang Dingtian said, the shadow demons always think that I'm one of them. Plus, I have a 19th grade shadow demon on me now, so they can't attack me. But if you encounter a suitable shadow demon, you won't be able to kill it, and you won't be able to successfully obtain the energy essence, Yao Li said. Yang Dingtian said, but compared to your lives, what is all of this worth? Yao Li, you don't have to say any more. I've already made up my mind. Yao Li immediately fell silent. Once Yang Dingtian decided on something, no one could change it. And now Yang Dingtian was the leader, and Yao Li was the follower. But we want to follow you to the third dark realm, Yao Li suddenly said. Yang Dingtian said, I have a feeling that the third dark realm will be very complicated. You might not be able to benefit from going. It's better for you to stay here. In less than a year, I'll come back to the second dark realm to find you, and then we'll go to the human kingdom together. Are you sure? Yao Li asked. I'm sure. Yang Dingtian extended his hand. Yao Li stretched out her hand and collided with Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian looked into her beautiful eyes and said, the great fission should be over soon. Remember, once it's over, the 5 of you must leave immediately. Maybe Yao Leng will invite you, but don't accept. This was because Yao Ming and Yao Leng would definitely have a huge conflict. Furthermore, after the great fission, Yao Leng might return to his previous temperament. You must not take the risk. Furthermore, they must not take any risks during the hunt. He would rather not gain anything than protect his own life and that of his team. Yao Li nodded vigorously and said, I will remember. All right, you can go back, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Li took a deep look at Yang Dingtian before returning to the group. Yao Zi burst into tears and rushed into Yang Dingtian's embrace. She shouted, I don't want you to leave. I want to go with you. Yang Dingtian gently patted her on the back and said gently, don't worry. If I'm fast, half a year. If I'm slow, a year. I'll definitely come back for you. Yao Zi cried for a while, then raised her head and said tearfully, Are you sure? I'm sure. Yang Dingtian said, All right, you can go back now. Yao Zi reluctantly returned to the group. Next, Bolu stepped forward and hugged Yang Dingtian, saying, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, I originally didn't have the right to hug you, but I wanted to do so. Here with you, I feel equal and respected. Thus, in the past year of being with you, I felt that this was the most glorious moment of my life. I will always look forward to fighting by your side, and I look forward even more to returning to the human kingdoms with you and accomplishing this great undertaking with you. Yang Dingtian patted Bolu and said, Take good care of Yao Li. I will, Bolu said. Ah Wen and Ah Wu stepped forward, but they didn't hug him. Instead, they knelt down on one knee. Then, without saying anything, they patted their chests hard, indicating that they wouldn't forget their duty and their promise. Although the two brothers didn't interact much with Yang Dingtian, what Yang Dingtian gave them was more than what others could give them in their entire lives. In their hearts, they were looking forward to the day they could truly follow Yang Dingtian. Seeing this, Yao Ming's expression turned ugly. he said coldly, as expected of a traitorous bitch. After sticking to Yao Qi, she stuck to a lowly human. Yao Leng's expression also turned ugly. Because of Yang Dingtian's departure, he felt somewhat guilty. However, guilt was definitely not a good emotion for some people. Instead, it would produce many negative effects because of guilt. Yang Dingtian understood this very well. He mouthed to Yao Leng, "You're a qualified leader. You'll definitely become an even more outstanding leader in the future. After the Great Fission ends, pay attention to Yao Ming and leave as soon as possible." Yang Dingtian's words were like sunlight, directly dispersing the negative and dark emotions in Yao Leng's heart. He truly felt guilty and felt that he was too narrow-minded. He thought that Yang Dingtian would blame him, so he actually had some bad thoughts about him. Immediately, he made up his mind. Even if Yang Dingtian left, he would definitely treat Yao Li and Yao Zi well. This was also Yang Dingtian's goal. In fact, he said these words because they weren't close friends. However, this kind of noble flattery would encourage Yao Leng to continue working hard in the direction that Yang Dingtian said. Therefore, at least at this moment, he deeply felt that Yang Dingtian was a confidant and good friend. Yao Leng had always been rejected by others. However, Yang Dingtian, as an outstanding leader, actually affirmed and praised him. This was undoubtedly a huge encouragement to him. This was because Yang Dingtian was definitely an existence that people could look up to, even if he was only a human. Therefore, who said that Yang Dingtian didn't understand people's hearts? He did. However, when facing like-minded comrades, he didn't want to use these tricks. He had always treated people with sincerity. He had always believed that sincerity, benevolence, and impartiality had always been the most powerful weapons. It was also the true way of the king. Just like that, Yang Dingtian left in a completely unexpected situation. He quickly headed north alone and left the Demon Fox tribe. He was very fast and disappeared from everyone's sight in an instant. In an instant, Yao Li and the others felt a huge emptiness in their hearts. After being together for a full year, the 5 of them had already become dependent on Yang Dingtian. With his departure, Yao Li and the others even felt that even after the end of the Great Fission, cultivation and breakthroughs were no longer very attractive. However, no matter what, Yang Dingtian still left. Yang Dingtian quickly headed north, toward the end of the second dark domain. Although he was still a little worried about the safety of Yao Li and the others, he could clearly feel that the entire world was becoming calmer and calmer. It seemed that the Great Fission was indeed coming to an end. Moreover, Yao Li also had a 4th-grade evil spirit. There wouldn't be any danger if they encountered a demon spirit, so they should be safe. Just like that, Yang Dingtian continued to head north alone. Indeed, when he was alone, even if it was the Great Fission Day, even if it was a frenzy of elemental creatures, he wouldn't be in any danger. Be it blink or invisibility, they were enough to ensure his safety. He could even easily escape if he encountered an 18th grade or 19th grade elemental creature. Moreover, when he encountered a 14th grade elemental creature that was alone, he would also kill it. Especially when he encountered a hydra, a balrog, a demon spirit, or even a stone golem. Unfortunately, such an opportunity was almost non-existent. First of all, he encountered many 14th grade elemental creatures. Even hydras, stone golems, and balrogs he encountered who knew how many of them. However, there were almost none that were alone. These elemental creatures were basically in groups. Although it was possible that they were fighting each other, they were also in groups. At this time, if Yang Dingtian made a move to kill them, of course, he would succeed. However, it was very difficult to kill them in a short period of time. Once he was entangled by an elemental creature and the other elemental creatures attacked, the consequences would be fatal. Losing one's mind due to greed was a very, very scary thing. Although so many elemental creatures were very, very tempting, Yang Dingtian still restrained his greed at this time. Booth and the opportunity were very, very good. He definitely wouldn't make a move. And there were only 2 opportunities like this. This time, not only was the 14th grade stone golem alone, there were no elemental creatures within a radius of a few kilometers. Yang Dingtian used a quarter of an hour to kill it, and then used the fastest time possible to obtain its energy essence. The other time was the Balrog. It was also alone, and there were no elemental creatures around it. Yang Dingtian used less than a quarter of an hour to eliminate it and obtain its energy essence. Of course, when elemental creatures fought each other, energy essences would appear. At this time, Yang Dingtian could easily obtain them. However, the reality wasn't so simple because the moment an energy essence was exposed, it would immediately turn to ashes. Therefore, by the time you saw it and blinked over to take it, it would already be too late. Moreover, the moment an elemental creature killed its opponent, it would also devour the energy essence of its opponent. Even so, Yang Dingtian still had a lot of gains. He picked up 5 14th grade and 3 15th grade energy essences, which could be considered a small windfall. The Great Fission Day was finally coming to an end. Because the entire Earth was very calm, and the cracks in the Earth were gradually healing. Moreover, the darkness that covered both suns was gradually dispersing. Although the speed of dispersing was very slow, the sky was still gradually brightening, and the yang energy was slowly gaining the upper hand. This Great Fission Day that had lasted for nearly 3 days was finally coming to an end. However, the consequences for the entire second dark domain were disastrous. In this calamity, at least 80% of the elemental creatures were completely destroyed. This meant that even if the Fox Clan experts were lucky enough to survive, it would be extremely difficult to hunt them in the future, because most of the elemental creatures were already dead. Moreover, even if the elemental creatures were lucky enough to survive, they would hide underground for a very long time, unwilling to come out, even if it would weaken them. However, the ground made them feel too insecure. Yang Dingtian could clearly see that although the Great Fission Day had not completely ended, the elemental creatures were still underground. However, the elemental creatures on the surface quickly drilled into the ground. They weren't willing to stay on the surface at all. Very quickly, there were almost no elemental creatures around Yang Dingtian. Taking advantage of this peaceful moment, Yang Dingtian dug a cave, then entered the cave and began the last energy devouring in the second dark domain, making the final breakthrough. After the breakthrough, he would go to the end of the second dark domain, then travel through the void border to the third dark domain. At this time, he had 3 14th grade energy essences that he had hunted, and 5 14th grade energy essences that he had picked up. He easily combined them into a 15th grade limit energy essence. In addition, he had 3 15th grade energy essences that he had picked up. There were 5 15th grade energy essences from the Great Taboo Day, and with the 15th grade Fire WRM's energy essence that he had snatched from Yao Leng, there were 9 of them. After combining 1 16th grade limit energy essence, there were only 2 left. Yang Dingtian sat down cross-legged and began to devour these 2 limit energy essences, making the final breakthrough. Chapter 842. Boom! That familiar energy rushed into Yang Dingtian's Qi. A quarter of an hour later, Yang Dingtian's Qi began to expand, expand, and expand. When it reached its limit, the Qi suddenly exploded. After the energy essence of the 15th level was exhausted, Yang Dingtian's cultivation broke through to the 14th level, second rank. Next, Yang Dingtian was going to devour this energy essence of the 16th level. This really required a lot of courage. Because the difference in level was too big, when he devoured, it would have an incomparably strong impact on his profound veins and Qi. When the time came, it would undoubtedly be very painful. Fiercely gritting his teeth, Yang Dingtian fiercely devoured the energy essence of the 16th level. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian only saw a golden light flash in front of his eyes, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Next, it was a hellish pain, as if countless small knives were cutting his profound veins and internal organs. Although Yang Dingtian clenched his teeth and tried his best to endure, he still lost consciousness from the pain and fainted. Next, Yang Dingtian's Qi quickly expanded and expanded. Soon, it reached its limit, and then it suddenly exploded. Boom! Yang Dingtian broke through to the 14th level, third rank. Half a quarter of an hour later, Yang Dingtian's Qi Si once again expanded and expanded. Boom! The Qi Si suddenly exploded, and Yang Dingtian broke through again, reaching the 14th level, 4th rank. Next, Yang Dingtian's Qi Si once again expanded and expanded. Just when Yang Dingtian felt that he was about to break through to the 14th level, 5th rank, the remaining energy essence of the 16th level in his hand suddenly turned into ashes. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, there was a violent upheaval, and the sky and earth were spinning. It was as if the whole world was completely torn apart. Yang Dingtian was underground, and suddenly became a bottomless abyss. His whole body quickly fell, and was about to fall into the depths of the dark domain. At the same time, countless elemental creatures that had just burrowed into the ground once again rushed out of the ground, desperately trying to escape. While Yang Dingtian was falling rapidly, he suddenly spat out the profound flame behind him. His body rushed to the ground like lightning. What was going on? Wasn't the great fission already over? Didn't the fission of the earth stop just now? Wasn't it already peaceful? Why was there such a terrifying upheaval all of a sudden? Moreover, this wave of earth-shattering fission was even more intense than the previous 2 days. It was a complete mirror image of the apocalypse. The entire world in his eyes seemed to have been completely overturned and destroyed. The entire land had completely collapsed, turning into an endless abyss. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but raise his head. At this time, the sun had already revealed half of its light, but the other half was covered by darkness. No wonder the sky and earth were so terrifyingly overturned. It was because the darkness and twin suns entered the most intense tearing and struggle. Although the victory of the twin suns was already a foregone conclusion, this was the final and most intense counterattack of the dark energy. Immediately, Yang Dingtian's first thought was, would Yao Li and the rest encounter danger? Their team might be facing the greatest calamity of all time. Then, should he go south to rescue them? Yang Dingtian fell into hesitation. Logically speaking, Yang Dingtian shouldn't have gone down to save her. Although he was broad-minded, he wasn't broad-minded enough to go back and save her after being chased out. He would also be angry and wouldn't be able to walk away from such a thing that he had done on his own. However, compared to the lives of Yao Li, Bo Lu, and the rest, perhaps something like face was not that important. Yao Li, Bo Lu, and the rest might have an irreplaceable role in the future apocalyptic war. At the very least, Yang Dingtian couldn't find a second person to guard the gates of the human kingdoms. Therefore, Yang Dingtian hesitated for a moment and still used his fastest speed to fly south. That's right, the defensive line of the 300 demon foxes fell into a huge calamity. Originally, everything had calmed down, and the great fission was about to end. In fact, Yao Leng was already planning what to do after the great fission ended, and how to deal with Yao Ming. However, when the twin suns broke free halfway, the great fission suddenly began its most frenzied counterattack. The fission of the entire world had entered the most terrifying moment. The elemental creatures that had survived completely rushed out of the ground in a frenzy. Moreover, these elemental creatures had finally ended their calamity and obtained peace with great difficulty, but when everything was destroyed, these elemental creatures went completely crazy and launched the most brutal attacks on everything around them. These elemental creatures didn't even migrate or escape. After coming to the ground, they only attacked and attacked crazily. Coincidentally, the place where the demon fox's defensive line stopped was the place with the most elemental creatures. The reason was very simple. Because this place had suffered the least damage from the great fission, the entire ground was relatively intact. Therefore, whether it was the demon fox's experts or the elemental creatures, they all chose to stay here. When the ground was overturned and swept up again, this place became the most terrifying place. Now, this defensive line of 300 was not only facing attacks from one side, but also not from two sides. They were completely surrounded. The 300 demon fox's experts attacked with all their might, but they still couldn't stop the flood of elemental creatures. Moreover, these elemental creatures seemed to be endless, and they were completely carrying out suicidal attacks. No one knew how many there were. Perhaps there were thousands or even more. Of course, it was fortunate that these elemental creatures were not only attacking the demon fox's defensive line, but also killing each other. Otherwise, this defensive line of 300 would have been wiped out long ago. Even so, it was only a matter of time before this defensive line was wiped out. This was because the flood of elemental creatures was getting closer and closer to the defensive line. From a few hundred meters to 100 meters, to 80 meters, to 50 meters. Moreover, with so many elemental creatures, it was impossible to kill them all. It was destined that the defensive line would be wiped out. Looking at the elemental creatures getting closer and closer, the 300 demon foxes experts were in complete despair. This time, they could no longer be saved. There was no hope. Perhaps this was retribution. Retribution for chasing away the human Yang Dingtian, retribution for biting the hand that fed them. Suddenly, many people had this thought. When Yang Dingtian was heading north, this demon fox's team was also moving towards the northwest. Therefore, the distance between the two sides was about 3,000 miles. Yang Dingtian used all his strength and used the flash technique. At the fastest speed, it would take him nearly an hour to travel 3,000 miles. That's right, in less than an hour he moved 3,000 miles. This speed was completely heaven-defying. This was already achieved by Yang Dingtian using the flash technique of the demonic spirit mist cloak without caring about the consumption of celestial qi. In less than an hour, Yang Dingtian had flashed and moved over 3,000 miles. He immediately saw the demon fox race's defensive line. 300 people were surrounded by countless elemental creatures. They were like a small boat in a stormy sea that could capsize at any moment. At this time, Yang Dingtian could no longer see the 300 people's figures because they were completely submerged. The fate of destruction was about to befall them. Yang Dingtian was really frightened by this scene. It was too scary, too crazy. This scene was very similar to the scenes in modern zombie movies. Countless zombies surrounded a car, and there were only a few humans in the car. They formed an extremely fragile defensive line and were about to be completely submerged in an instant. At this time, even if Yang Dingtian had the power of heaven and earth, he could not save the 300 demon foxes' lives. Because there were too many elemental creatures and it was crazy. In fact, the final crazy counterattack of the Great Fission had ended. The earth had returned to peace, but this group of elemental creatures had gone completely crazy. If they did not kill all the creatures in front of them, or if they died, this battle would not stop. Therefore, it was absolutely impossible to destroy all the elemental creatures and save the demon fox's defensive line. The only way was to break out of the encirclement. They thought that these elemental creatures were crazily killing in this area. Once they broke out of the encirclement and escaped, these elemental creatures might not chase after them. They would just continue to kill in the same place. Of course, the demon fox's experts were not stupid. They realized that the south side of the defensive line was the weakest, so they attacked the elemental creatures in the south with all their might. They wanted to break out of the encirclement and break out of the encirclement. However, even if the elemental creatures in the south were the weakest, there were still thousands of them. It was impossible to break through with just 300 demon foxes experts. Moreover, in order to break out of the encirclement, and their celestial qi was almost exhausted, so the 300 of them only attacked the south side and did not care about the back. Therefore, the elemental creatures at the back had already rushed over and started to kill the demon foxes experts crazily. Fortunately, these elemental creatures did not specialize in killing the demon foxes, and they were killing each other. Otherwise, these demon foxes experts would have been completely wiped out in a moment. Even so, these demon foxes experts were all smashed into pieces, and they died without a complete corpse. At this rate, it was absolutely impossible for them to break out of the encirclement. Very soon, they would be completely wiped out. The speed at which they killed the elemental creatures was not comparable to the speed at which they died. Therefore, even though the Great Fission was considered to have ended, the demon fox's defensive line was still facing the fate of destruction. This might be their retribution for chasing Yang Dingtian out. Yang Dingtian wanted to save the remaining demon foxes. There was only one way, and that was to tear a hole in the encirclement of the elemental creatures and let them break out of the encirclement. Moreover, it might not succeed. Yang Dingtian immediately sat down cross-legged and stuffed a large amount of Xian-gathering pills into his mouth, and used the fastest speed to recover his celestial qi. Even though Yang Dingtian had already broken through to the 14th level, 4th rank, in less than 15 minutes, Yang Dingtian had already fully recovered his battle's celestial qi. Then he began to summon the Million Spirit Demonic Fire, Devil Spirit Demonic Fire, and Void Raging Flames. He poured all the celestial qi in his body into the 3 Shen flames. The 14th level, 4th rank celestial qi energy was all poured in. Whoosh! The 3 Shen flames suddenly flew up into the sky, above the southern encirclement of the elemental creatures. Then, they fiercely collided in the air. Boom! Once again, there was an earth-shattering explosion. Then, the whole world seemed to be torn apart again. Chapter 843. Even though the Great Fission had ended, and the 2 suns had regained their amazing brilliance, but Yang Dingtian's 3 mysterious flame lightnings still completely covered the light of the 2 suns, and it was so bright that it temporarily blinded people. That kind of extreme brilliance was completely indescribable, and it had turned all the images into nothingness. At this time, Yang Dingtian's cultivation was already at the 14th level, 4th rank. So the 3 mysterious flame lightning at this time, its power was almost at the 19th level, and it was completely unparalleled. In addition, the energy attribute of the 3 mysterious flame lightnings seemed to be so special. Now, even Yang Dingtian couldn't figure out what kind of energy it was. Swoosh! Like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves, the dense group of elemental creatures was suddenly swept away. Hundreds of elemental creatures were all turned into ashes. In an instant, the encirclement in the south was suddenly emptied. Hundreds of elemental creatures were instantly killed. And many masters of the Demon Fox clan were also violently vomiting blood and were directly sent flying. This time, even though they were far away, there were still many masters of the Demon Fox clan who were directly sent flying. At this time, the encirclement in the south of the group of elemental creatures was completely broken. Even though there were still dozens of elemental creatures above the 15th level, the number was very small, and they couldn't form an encirclement at all. Most importantly, after the 3 mysterious flame lightning burst out, the elemental creatures that were madly killing were suddenly suppressed by this terrifying energy. Even the high-level elemental creatures that were still lucky enough to survive fell into a state of desperate trembling. Suddenly, the whole battlefield fell into a temporary silence. Yao Leng was suddenly stunned, and then his whole body and mind shook violently. Yang Dingtian had come, when the celestial qi of all the masters of the Demon Fox clan was completely exhausted, and they were about to be wiped out. He appeared, and directly opened a gap with the extremely powerful 3 mysterious flame lightning, and made countless elemental creatures fall into a state of temporary trembling and pause. However, just a few hours ago, the entire Demon Fox clan had just turned their backs on him and expelled him. Later, when the Great Fission counterattacked at the last moment, he still didn't care about the past and rushed over thousands of miles to save them. Immediately, even the despicable and shameless Yao Leng from before was completely unable to describe the feeling in his heart. He could only loudly roar, "Everyone, break through!" After that, the remaining half of the Demon Fox clan experts took advantage of the fact that the elemental creatures were still in a daze to escape from the encirclement and flee towards the northwest. Soon, the countless elemental creatures woke up. However, the number of Fox clan experts who came to chase after them was very small. The first thing they did when they woke up was to continue to madly kill each other. They had to fight to the death before they stopped. Just like that, the Demon Fox clan's defensive line, which had already exhausted all of their profound qi and was facing destruction, broke out of the encirclement under Yang Dingtian's crucial strike and escaped with their lives. Even though half of them had died in the chaotic battlefield, they were not completely wiped out. After running for a full 100 miles, Yao Leng led the team to stop and roared loudly, "Your Excellency Yang Dingen, I know you're nearby. Please come out and accept our apology. After escaping, all the Demon Fox clan experts felt the value of life even more. Just now, they were really at the end of their rope and didn't have much profound chi left. If Yang Dingtian had taken action a few minutes later, they might have been completely wiped out. And at this time, the Demon Fox clan experts who didn't understand Yang Dingtian before finally understood how heaven-defying this human was. They were really regretting in their hearts that they didn't listen to Yao Lung's words and contribute all of their energy essence to help Yang Dingtian become stronger. If they had done that, they wouldn't have faced such a tragic end. They would have already broken out of the encirclement and wouldn't have died at all. But it was too late to regret now. And fortunately, Yang Dingtian's tolerance and benevolence saved half of their lives. Otherwise, they would have all been turned into ashes and lost all their rights. After hearing Yao Lung's shout, Yang Dingtian didn't have any response. Yao Lung looked coldly at Yao Ming and said, "Your Excellency Yang Ding, I know you're angry. It's this stupid and despicable Yao Ming who offended you and caused our Demon Fox clan to suffer such a calamity. We'll make him kneel and beg you to let him be pierced by a sword as punishment." When he said this, Yao Li's brother, the Golden clan's young master Yao Ming's expression changed. However, almost everyone's gazes were directed at him, and no one publicly supported him. Because it was indeed because of Yao Ming's despicable and stupid actions that the Demon Fox clan suffered such terrible losses. Whether it was for public or private reasons, Yao Ming had committed a great crime and should beg for forgiveness. After a while, Yang Dinghun broke the silence and said loudly, "Your Excellency Yao Lung, I'm a human. It's not convenient for me to interfere in the matters of Little Western Paradise. Moreover, it's only right for me to help. In the face of a calamity, all races are the same. Saving Little Western Paradise today is to save humanity tomorrow." Yao Lung said happily, "Your Excellency Yang Dinghun, please show yourself." Yang Dingtian said, "I'm not used to saying goodbye. I feel very unnatural. Since I've already said goodbye once, there's no need to say goodbye again. I'll take my leave now. Goodbye." Then, Yang Dingtian suddenly flashed north and disappeared without a trace. The Demon Fox clan's experts were left in a complete mess. Yao Lung looked in the direction Yang Dingtian disappeared and said loudly, "Don't worry, Your Excellency Yang Dinghun, I'll definitely protect Yao Li and Yao Li." However, he didn't get any response from Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian went north, north, and north. At this time, the second dark domain had completely returned to normal. However, not a single elemental creature could be seen. No matter if it was day or night, there was no trace of them. Although the sky and earth were turned upside down, although the earth was torn apart with countless cracks and abysses. However, after a few days of exposure to the sun, magma once again filled all the cracks and abysses. Soon, the second dark domain had completely returned to its previous hard, flat ground. In fact, the ground was even harder than before and filled with the characteristics of metal. Moreover, the entire ground seemed to have sunk a lot, and the gravity had obviously increased. That's right, after the Great Fission, the second dark domain had taken another step closer to death, and another step closer to the continent of death. Although some of the Demon Fox clan's experts had survived the Great Fission, it was obvious that they would face a disaster soon. The results of their hunt might be so low that it would make one's hair stand on end. For a very long time, the elemental creatures wouldn't come to the surface. Moreover, less than 20% of the elemental creatures in the second dark domain were left. The rest had all died in the Great Fission. And these Demon Fox clan experts still had to stay in the dark domain for close to 200 years. In the face of a fruitless hunt, the situation might become very crazy. Therefore, Yang Dingtian had to break through half-life as soon as possible, obtain the 5th stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, discover the whereabouts of Shuwu Piaoyan, and then return to the second dark domain with Yao Li and the others as soon as possible. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. This dark domain was really big. Yang Dingtian kept going north, 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 and north, towards the end of the second dark domain. Finally, After traveling 50,000 kilometers or 80,000 kilometers from the depths of the second dark domain, he reached the end of the second dark domain. Finally, Yang Dingtian saw the familiar border of the abyss once again. It was still the bizarre light and shadows of the vast land, and it was still the most mysterious place in the world. This was the border of the abyss, the transition zone where the continent gradually walked towards death. It was the abyss of demons that devoured one continent. Anything and any life that entered would be completely annihilated. And this border of the abyss was also the source of energy for the void fire. Yang Dingtian first sat down cross-legged, swallowed a qi-gathering pill, and recovered his battle qi. After recovering his battle qi, Yang Dingtian turned his head and took one last look at the second dark domain. He had stayed here for almost a year and had achieved his greatest breakthrough here. He had broken through from the 9th level to the 14th level, 4th rank. It was a rather satisfactory result. If he could find the 5th stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship in the 3rd dark domain, then breaking through to the 15th level of the half-saint realm should not be a problem. As long as he broke through to the half-saint realm, his mission of cultivation this time would be considered complete. Taking a deep breath of non-existent air, Yang Dingtian summoned a void blaze, and then released it directly into the border of the abyss. Soon, a familiar scene played out again. The void blaze began to split into black and white flames, 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 48 into 8, 80 into 16. Just like that, it seemed to split endlessly. In the end, Yang Dingtian could see that all the bizarre illusions at the border of the abyss had disappeared, leaving behind countless black and white flames. After splitting to the limit, the black and white flames began to merge, and became a transparent void blaze. Then the entire border of the abyss had completely turned into a huge transparent crystal. Yang Dingtian took another deep breath of non-existent air, and then jumped down. Immediately, as if he had entered a space-time tunnel, he continued to shuttle. The entire time had come to a standstill. It was as if he was shuttling, but also as if he was falling. Perhaps it was only an instant, or perhaps a long time had passed. The shuttling ended, and the falling ended. Yang Dingtian had passed through the border of the abyss, and arrived at the 3rd dark domain. This should be the place where he broke through to the half-saint realm, and also the final destination of his cultivation. After passing through the border of the abyss, Yang Dingtian saw the 3rd dark domain at first glance, and he was completely shocked. Chapter 844. The first dark domain and the second dark domain were similar in some ways. At night, the ground was as hard as steel. During the day, the ground was completely melted. Therefore, Yang Dingtian thought that the 3rd dark domain was the same, just much more serious. But in fact, when Yang Dingtian saw this scene, he was completely unable to describe his feelings. The world in front of him was like an absolute mirror. Yes, it was similar to the yin-yang mirror. However, the surface of the yin-yang mirror was a layer of clear water, and below it was something like ice. The 3rd dark domain was like a layer of mercury. Yes, mercury. Not only the surface, but the entire world was filled with mercury. Because when Yang Dingtian stepped on it, he kept falling. The entire world had turned into something like mercury. It was absolutely smooth and flat. With just a little bit of light, the entire 3rd dark domain would become the largest and smoothest mirror. At this moment, the space-splitting fire began to condense into a transparent flame, and suddenly entered Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. Boom! His sea of qi expanded to the limit, and suddenly exploded. Then, his entire body sank into nothingness. He broke through to the 14th rank, 5th rank. Yang Dingtian really did not expect this result. Every time the space-splitting fire devoured the energy of the abyss border, it would grow stronger. However, when Yang Dingtian broke through, Yang Dingtian's cultivation was still very low. It was completely unexpected that it could bring about a breakthrough this time. However, just as Yang Dingtian broke through and completely lost consciousness, his body fell rapidly. When he woke up, Yang Dingtian was shocked to find that the mercury-like liquid in the 3rd dark domain was devouring his life force, devouring his energy, and actually wanted to completely melt him into a part of it. Immediately, Yang Dingtian spat out mystic fire and flew into the sky. Then, he found that the places that were submerged by the mercury-like liquid were actually turning black. This damned place was too scary. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but carefully examine the mercury that filled the world. Without a doubt, this was definitely not mercury. This was the third dark domain, so this strange liquid should be the product of the countless fissions in the second dark domain. The dark domain continued to break apart, and then, under the scorching sun of the two suns, it began to collapse. It began to be invaded by the dark energy, and thus turned into this mercury-like liquid. The entire world had completely melted. At this time, the world should not be completely dead yet. By the time the liquid started to solidify, it meant that it was completely dead. Yang Dingtian took out a metal dagger and dipped it in a terrifying solution. Wow, so heavy, so heavy. The weight of this strange solution was far beyond his imagination. The solution that was less than half a cup in front of him actually weighed more than 10 pounds. This density was simply too frightening. From this, one could see how much the entire world had collapsed. However, just as Yang Dingtian expressed his surprise, the dagger in his hand melted. That's right, it was completely melted. It was melted by this terrifying solution. Yang Dingun was incomparably shocked. This dagger was a bloody black gold dagger. It was incomparably precious. Of course, this was not the most important thing. The key was that it was extremely sharp and hard, and basically could not be corroded by any liquid. However, it was actually melted before his eyes. And in just a few seconds, it was actually melted. However, he was submerged for a few seconds just now. Why was it only black and not melted? Yang Dingtian was puzzled. However, he completely did not know what to do. Could it be that he had to continue like this, spit out the mystical flame energy and let his body float on the surface? Then, the most important thing was to find a place to sit down and recover his mystical chi, right? Moreover, there was still no air in this world, so flying with mystical chi was not possible. He could only use the mystical flame to fly. The consumption of mystical chi by flying like this was completely incalculable. But now, Yang Dingtian could no longer land, because as long as he came into contact with this terrifying solution, the energy and vitality in his body would be rapidly corroded and devoured. Yang Dingtian could only calculate his mystical chi and extravagantly use the mystical flame to fly and observe this world. The gravity here was too strong, at least dozens or hundreds of times stronger. Therefore, it was very difficult for Yang Dingtian's flying speed to reach the extreme, and he could only maintain it for less than 200 miles per hour. If he flew any faster, his mystical chi would be completely exhausted. After using the mystical flame, Yang Dingtian kept flying towards the third dark realm. Flying 100 miles, 200 miles, 300 miles, 400 miles. It was exactly the same, all of it was a mercury-like solution. There was no other thing in this world, and Yang Dingtian was the second thing in this world. This was a world that had completely melted, and the entire world was filled with this terrifying, devouring solution. In this world, Yang Dingtian did not even have a place to land, let alone find the fifth stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship or traces of the Shuwu Piaoyan. Yang Dingtian suspected that even if there was a scroll of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, it would have been completely melted and disappeared. He flew into the dark realm for a full 500 miles. Yang Dingtian had to go back. If he did not, his mystical chi would not be enough to return to the abyss border. That meant that he had to land. Once he landed, it meant that he would be completely corroded and devoured. One must know that in the third dark realm, Yang Dingtian had no place to stand. Helpless, Yang Dingtian could only fly back. After flying for a full 500 miles, he returned to the starting point of the third dark realm. At this time, his mystical chi was almost exhausted. Yang Dingtian had to find a place to recover his mystical chi. Helpless, Yang Dingtian could only summon the space-splitting fire again and release it into the abyss border. The space-splitting fire once again split into countless black and white flames, and then completely merged into a transparent flame. The entire abyss border turned into a transparent crystal. Yang Dingtian suddenly jumped in. Shuttling, shuttling, shuttling. After what seemed like an instant or a long time, Yang Dingtian returned to the second dark realm. The space-splitting fire at the abyss border once again merged into one and entered Yang Dingtian's body. At this time, it could no longer bring Yang Dingtian any breakthroughs. The second dark realm was originally like hell. At this time, in Yang Dingtian's eyes, it had become incomparably cute. Although this place was incomparably dark and dangerous, at least there was a place to stand. Yang Dingtian took out a soul sword that was close to the emperor grade and dug a deep cave at the end of the second dark realm. He even dug out a two-room. He even dug out a table, chairs, benches, and a bed. There was no other way. He had to prepare for a long battle. Before he found a way to establish himself in the third dark realm, he could only return to the second dark realm every time to recover his mystical chi. Yang Dingtian lay on the stone bed he had made and sighed in his heart. This was a result that he had never expected. He had resolutely left the second dark realm, but in less than half a day he had returned with his tail between his legs. Or rather, since coming to the dark realm, most of the things that had happened were not what he had expected, especially after coming to the second dark realm. Yang Dingtian was prepared to rest for 4 hours before heading to the third dark realm. Because it should be daytime in the third dark realm by then, the situation might be different and he might be able to find something. 4 hours later, Yang Dingtian's mystical chi was fully replenished. Then, he came out of his stone room and released the void fire again. Once again, he passed through the abyss border and headed to the third dark realm. He continued to fall and pass through. After an unknown period of time, Yang Dingtian passed through the abyss border and arrived at the third dark realm. That's right, it was daytime in the third dark realm. Yang Dingtian took a look and was completely stunned once again. He had guessed that the third dark realm's daytime and nighttime were different. That's right, they were different. The third dark realm at night was all melted liquid. What was this world during the day? It was all gaseous. That's right, under the crazy sun of 2 days, the temperature had reached hundreds of thousands of degrees. It was completely unbearable. Then all the liquid turned into a gaseous state and filled the entire space, the entire world. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could not see the 2 days at all. But just as he passed through, he was instantly blinded. Imagine the entire world, from the sky to the ground, was filled with dense and fragmented mercury mist. The entire world had become a giant cube mirror. Then the sun's light shone down, causing countless reflections. The entire world's radiance was almost comparable to the burst of Yang Dingtian's 3 mystic flames. At this moment, even if he were to wear sunglasses, it would be useless as he wouldn't be able to see anything in his field of vision. But there was good news. He could use flying mystic skills during the day because the entire world was gaseous. However, Yang Dingtian had just flown in when he immediately felt an incomparably terrifying corrosive energy. The surrounding silver mist was crazily devouring his life force and corroding his energy. He could not stay for even a minute. Yang Dingtian was really going crazy. The third dark realm at night was already scary enough. But during the day, it was even crazier and scarier. At night, there was no place to stand, but at least he could float in the air. During the day, there was not even an inch of shelter. How was he supposed to find the pig-slaying swordsmanship in this goddamn third dark realm? How was he supposed to find Shu Wu Piaoyan? How was he supposed to break through to the half-saint realm? Chapter 845. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was at his wit's end. He couldn't even figure out how to explore the third dark realm. He couldn't do it at night, and it was even more dangerous during the day. Yang Dingtian's mind began to turn. He wondered if he could use the demon spirit demon fire energy shield to resist the devouring of the terrifying fog. Yang Dingtian immediately used the demon spirit demon fire energy shield and flew into the world of devouring fog. Whoosh 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 whoosh. In an instant, the demon spirit demon fire energy shield was quickly corroded and melted, becoming a part of the devouring fog. Of course, Yang Dingtian could still continuously release celestial chi to support the energy shield. This way, he could ensure that he wouldn't be devoured. But the fog didn't just devour celestial chi for battle, it devoured real cultivation. In other words, if he was continuously devoured, it wouldn't take long for Yang Dingtian to return to the level of a novice warrior. Then, his entire body would be completely melted and become a part of the terrifying fog. Now, Yang Dingtian somewhat understood the principle of the third dark realm. The solution here devoured everything, but it also had a priority. It first devoured celestial chi energy. After all the energy was devoured and dissolved, it began to devour life. After all the life was devoured, it began to devour matter. This matter included the body, the weapons on the body, and so on. As for things without energy and life, such as the bloody black gold dagger, it would instantly corrode and devour them. Fortunately, Yang Dingtian had placed all his important things in the space ring. Otherwise, if his soul sword that was close to the emperor grade was devoured, he wouldn't be able to do anything. At this moment, the fog was rapidly devouring Yang Dingtian's celestial chi, forcing Yang Dingtian to immediately retreat. He originally wanted to retreat to the second dark realm. But then he suddenly thought about it. This void-splitting fire was so powerful, and it could be added to any celestial fire. Would it be useful if he mixed the void-splitting fire into the demon spirit demon fire energy shield? Thus, Yang Dingtian immediately released the void-splitting fire and penetrated the energy shield. In an instant, the energy shield changed from a faint mist to a completely transparent layer, as if there was a thin layer of glass. Then, something miraculous happened. The devouring fog outside immediately stopped devouring. Instead, he avoided the void-splitting flames like they were poisonous snakes and scorpions. Sure enough, it worked. Yang Dingtian was pleasantly surprised. That was right. The void fire represented the highest level of death in the dark realm. And this devouring fog was the result of death. No matter how powerful it was no match for the void-splitting flame. Thus, Yang Dingtian blended into the protective barrier of the void fissure fire and easily flew through the thick fog, continuing to explore the third dark domain of the day. To be honest, Yang Dingtian had never explored such a world. It was completely three-dimensional. The previous worlds were basically explored on one side. Even if it was a mountain or a deep cave, it was at least one side. At this moment, the third dark domain was already in chaos. Looking up, they didn't know how high the fog was. Looking down, they didn't know how deep the fog was. Front, back, left, and right, they didn't know how far they were. Moreover, Yang Dingtian's million-spirit demon fire was useless here. Once they were released, they would be devoured alive by the devouring fog. Just like that, Yang Dingtian continued to go deeper, deeper, and deeper. 1,000 miles down. That's right, 1,000 miles down. Yang Dingtian had never done this before. Even if it was a deep cave, even if it was at the bottom of the sea, it wouldn't be 1,000 miles down. However, after 1,000 miles down, it was still endless. He couldn't see the bottom. Thus, Yang Dingtian tried to go up again. It was still endless. Endless. After flying 1,000 miles, he still couldn't see the bottom. Yang Dingtian went a few thousand miles further. It was still endless fog. It was really disappointing if he didn't explore it. Once he explored it, he felt even more hopeless. Was this the third dark domain? Was there a Naga relic here? Yao Qi had always believed that if he got the space-splitting fire, he would be able to find the Naga relic. Yang Dingtian realized that this was absolutely true. With the space-splitting fire, he could travel through any abyss. However, to find the Naga relic in the dark domain, which was tens of billions of square kilometers, even if the demon fox tribe lived for a few thousand years. Just the third dark domain alone was enough to make one feel hopeless. Because there was only one thing that one could see. In the entire world, there was only one thing, and that was the devouring fog. At night, it was a thick liquid. During the day, it was a crazy, gaseous fog. After searching for a few hours, Yang Dingtian's celestial chi was about to run out. He immediately returned, because there was no way for him to recover his battle celestial chi here. When he was recovering his battle celestial chi by devouring the chi condensation pill, He couldn't release any celestial chi, of course. This included the energy shield. Once the energy shield was gone, Yang Dingtian's celestial chi cultivation and body would be devoured. Therefore, in the third dark domain, there was no way for him to recover his celestial chi. Therefore, Yang Dingtian decided to leave first. After returning to the second dark domain to recover his celestial chi, he would come back at night to explore the third dark domain. Because he knew that the new energy shield could protect him from being devoured, he could explore further at night. Therefore, Yang Dingtian temporarily gave up on his exploration and returned to the second dark domain. Yang Dingtian lay comfortably on the stone bed in the cave at the end of the second dark domain. What a pleasure! It seemed that everything was based on comparison. The second dark domain was originally like hell. However, compared to the third dark domain, it was heaven. Fortunately, he did not bring Yao Li and the others into the third dark domain. Otherwise, they would not have been able to stay for even an hour before being devoured alive. After lying down for a while, Yang Dingtian recovered his battle celestial chi. Then, after waiting for a few hours, Yang Dingtian once again traveled through the abyss and arrived at the third dark domain. As expected, it was already night here. All the thick fog had condensed. The entire world seemed to have turned into a thick mercury-like solution. It was bottomless. Yang Dingtian released the Demon Spirit Demon Fire energy shield and then entered the Void Fissure Fire. This energy barrier enveloped his entire body and protected him completely. Subsequently, Yang Dingtian stepped on the dense mercury and advanced rapidly. Advance. This time, Yang Dingtian only explored in one direction, and that was the north. 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. Even though he was running, Yang Dingtian's speed was still close to 1,000 miles per hour. 5,000 miles, 6,000 miles, 7,000 miles, 8,000 miles. Yang Dingtian did not explore anything. The entire world was still filled with a thick liquid. At this time, the sky was about to brighten. Once the sky brightened, the entire world would suddenly expand into a gaseous state. Yang Dingtian continued to explore. Because running like this consumed very little celestial chi, Yang Dingtian had enough celestial chi another 1,000 miles. Finally, the sky brightened. The two suns rose into the sky. Then, Yang Dingtian hurriedly closed his eyes. Otherwise, even if he wore sunglasses, he would still go blind. Because the entire world was reflecting the light. After the sun rose, the temperature rose rapidly. A few hundred degrees, 1,000 degrees, and then a few thousand degrees. The mercury-like solution below began to boil violently. The entire world was boiling crazily. Then, a thick fog rose from the ground. The entire world was rapidly vaporizing. In just 2 hours, every space in the third dark domain was filled with this engulfing fog. Endless engulfing fog. Yang Dingtian continued to explore. Flying. Another 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. Still, there was nothing. Yang Dingtian wasn't able to find a second item that was slightly different. It was time to go back. Otherwise, he would never be able to go back. Thus, Yang Dingtian painfully flew south, back to the abyss border. Once again, he used the Void Fissure Fire to pass through the abyss border and return to the second dark domain. When he lay on the stone bed again, Yang Dingtian's entire heart was almost gray. Under such circumstances, what else was there in the third dark domain? What else was there? Now, even if he found something that was not engulfing liquid, Yang Dingtian would be ecstatic, let alone an elemental creature. Now, Yang Dingtian really doubted whether there was anything in the third dark domain. What fifth stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship? What traces of Shuwu Piaoyan? What remains of the Naga Empire? Even if there was, it would have completely disappeared. Therefore, it was impossible to find anything in the third dark domain. Suddenly Yang Dingtian wavered. An idea appeared in his mind. Should he stop exploring the third dark domain and break through to the half-step saint in the second dark domain? Should he go back to find Yao Li again? But as soon as this idea appeared, he rejected it. Yang Dingtian must not go back. Even if he could not break through the third dark domain, he must thoroughly prove this point before giving up on the third dark domain. Now, the third dark domain was completely unknown to him. If he gave up now, it would be difficult. Therefore, he rallied his morale and set off again. Just like that, Yang Dingtian went back and forth between the third and second dark domain again and again, countless times. He had explored almost every corner of the third dark domain within 15,000 miles. There was really nothing, only the engulfing liquid. He was really close to despair. It had been a full 2 months. This kind of desperate search had lasted for a full 2 months. And 15,000 miles was Yang Dingtian's limit. If he went any further, he would not be able to return. If he could not return, it would mean that he would die there. Furthermore, every corner within 15,000 miles had been explored, and there was nothing to be found. Then Yang Dingtian was faced with a choice. First, continue exploring. But the third dark domain was 15,000 miles away. That meant that he would not be able to return and might die there. The second choice was to completely give up on the third dark domain. He would continue to hunt and break through in the second dark domain. Without much thought, Yang Dingtian made his decision. He gritted his teeth and smashed the cozy and comfortable stone room that he had dug out with great difficulty. Then he charged into the third dark domain without hesitation. Because of the existence of this stone room, Yang Dingtian always felt that he had a way out. After exploring to a certain extent, he would want to return. In his heart, this stone room felt like home. If he kept this thought away, he would not risk his life to explore. Moreover, Yang Dingtian clearly knew that continuing to cultivate in the second dark domain would not yield any results. Because 90% of the elemental creatures here had died. The remaining 10% would not appear for many, many years. In other words, there was nothing to be gained in the second dark domain. The third dark domain was Yang Dingtian's only hope of breaking through to the half-saint realm, even if this hope was extremely slim. Once again, Yang Dingtian used the void fire to cross the border of the abyss and enter the third dark domain. After withdrawing the void-splitting flame, Yang Dingtian turned around and looked at the edge of the abyss. This might be the last time he was going to look at it. Because this time, Yang Dingtian was going to continue exploring and would never turn back. He would either succeed or die in this exploration. Yes, either succeed or die in there. Chapter 846. Either he succeeded or he died. With such determination, Yang Dingtian released the demon spirit demon fire energy barrier and then seeped into the raging flames of the void, enveloping and protecting his entire body. Then he advanced forward at full speed. Yang Dingtian used his fastest speed to advance nearly 10,000 miles. Dawn arrived. The two suns rose into the sky, and the thick devouring liquid in the entire world once again boiled and boiled. Then, it completely vaporized, and the entire world turned into a ball of thick, boundless fog. Yang Dingtian used a flying mystic technique and quickly flew forward. In a short 6 hours he had already flown 5,000 miles. This was already the furthest he had explored before. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's mystic chi had just been depleted by half, which meant that he could still return safely. If he continued to fly forward, it meant that he could not return. But Yang Dingtian had already made up his mind. Without any hesitation he flew forward. In a short period of time, he had already flown 1,000 miles. In other words, he was 16,000 miles deep into the third dark realm. At this moment he did not have the chance to regret even if he wanted to. Next, he really only had 2 outcomes. Either he succeeded in discovering something, or he died. Of course, there was another possibility, which was to discover something and then die. With such determination, Yang Dingtian flew quickly and flew. He explored places that he had not been to in the past 2 months. But even though he had not been to these places before, they were exactly the same. It was still the same endless devouring fog, and there was no difference. Yang Dingtian continued to fly, and fly, 18,000 miles deep, 20,000 miles, 23,000 miles, 25,000 miles. Yang Dingtian continued to go deeper, deeper, and deeper. But he still did not discover anything, not even a little bit. The entire world was still filled with endless devouring fog. 28,000 miles deep. Yang Dingtian's mystic qi was about to be depleted. At this moment, not only could he not return, he could not recover his mystic qi at all. But in front of him was still the endless devouring fog. The miracle that Yang Dingtian was hoping for did not happen. After going 15,000 miles deep, Yang Dingtian did not discover anything. The remaining Xian Qi could probably travel another 800 kilometers, or perhaps 1,000 kilometers. If they did not find anything in the last 801,000 miles, then Yang Dingtian would die here, which would mean that their adventure in the third dark realm would be a complete failure. Yang Dingtian used the last of his profound qi to continue flying. 300 li, 500 li, 800 li, 1,000 li, 1,200 li. It was a little stronger than Yang Dingtian had imagined. The last bit of Xian Qi lasted for 1,200 kilometers. However, that was all there was to it. Nothing miraculous happened. Everything around them was still an endless fog of devouring. Yang Dingtian's profound qi was finally completely exhausted. At this moment, he really didn't have any life-saving skills left. He didn't even have enough Xian Qi to open up the space with the void-raging flames and head to the dark world. Because of the gravity, he began to fall and fall. Moreover, the energy shield that contained the void-raging flames became thinner and thinner because there was no continuous supply of Xian Qi. Soon, it would disappear completely. Once it disappeared, the thick fog of devouring would begin to devour Yang Dingtian's life force and energy. Finally, his body would be completely turned into a ball of thick fog. Yang Dingtian did not have the strength to stop this at all. It was obvious that he had lost this gamble. He continued to fall. Fall. Under dozens of times the gravity, the speed at which he was falling was incomparably shocking. 10,000 meters, 50,000 meters, 100,000 meters, 500,000 meters, 1,000,000 meters. That's right. How could there be such a deep world where he had not reached the bottom after falling for 2,000 miles? However, Yang Dingtian still could not see the bottom after falling for 3,000 miles. Everything around him was still an endless fog of devouring. In the process of falling, Yang Dingtian's energy shield finally ran out of energy. Then, the endless fog of devouring finally became excited and began to devour Yang Dingtian's energy and life force. Yang Dingtian only felt that the thick fog of devouring was like the claws of countless demons. They dug into the entrances of his Xian veins and devoured everything in a frenzy. He was still falling with all his might. At this moment he was falling at dozens of times the speed of sound. Yang Dingtian only felt that the world was spinning. He felt that he was seeing illusions that he had never seen before. Then he fainted. Before he fainted, he seemed to see a dark night sky and a dazzling river of stars. Yang Dingtian felt as though he had slept for the longest time. He even had a feeling that he would never wake up again after falling asleep. But finally he woke up from the endless nightmare. He was really lucky that he did not die. It was also very strange that he was not completely devoured and did not completely die. Why was he not dead? Was it because someone had saved him? No, no one had saved him. Because at this moment he was floating in the endless night sky. That's right, he was completely weightless. He did not know how deep he had fallen. Perhaps it was 10,000 miles, or 20,000 miles, or even tens of thousands of miles. In short, because the third dark domain was in a gaseous state, there was no bottom at all. He fell out of the third dark domain and even out of the chaotic world, arriving in outer space. Because he still had the vitality pill in his body, he did not die from the lack of oxygen. Instead, he woke up. Yang Dingtian quickly took out another vitality pill to replenish the vitality his body needed. Then, he observed this even more unfamiliar world. He actually fell through the entire world and arrived in outer space. No matter how big the hole in Yang Dingtian's brain was, he did not dare to imagine this scene. Because this scene was very sci-fi and not fantasy. Of course, from a physics point of view, it was impossible to achieve this. Because after falling to a certain extent, it would stop. because the point of gravity was at the center of the Earth. But the truth happened just like that. Yang Dingtian fell through the entire third dark domain and arrived in outer space. Yang Dingtian looked up and saw an incomparably huge and strange world. It was a pitch-black dome. Oh, it was flat, not circular. This should be the third dark domain. It should be the color of Mercury, but because there was no light, it was completely black. It was boundlessly huge, and he could not see where it ended. Yang Dingtian turned around and looked up again. On the other side, there was an endless night sky and countless stars. He was safe. He did not die. But in the third dark domain, there was still the engulfing fog around him. But now, there was nothing around him. There was no matter, no air. It was a vacuum, an absolute competition. He had already left the dark domain and arrived in outer space. At least here, there was no gravity of the third dark domain. Yang Dingtian used a comfortable position to lie down. Afterward, he didn't care about anything and fell into a deep sleep. A few hours later, Yang Dingtian was woken up by the light. Because the entire third dark domain had completely turned into an incomparably huge mirror. Endless, endless, endless mirrors. What the naked eye could see were bright reflections. Was it tens of thousands of miles, or hundreds of thousands of miles? Only the heavens knew. In any case, under this light, one could forget about seeing anything because it was completely blind. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to put on his sunglasses, close his eyes, and continue to sleep while floating in the air. This sleep lasted for more than 10 hours. When Yang Dingtian woke up, it was already dark. Everything around him was completely dark. The endless third dark domain above his head turned into an incomparably huge black curtain, covering the sky above his head. And on the other side, there was an even more endless and vast universe. At this moment, Yang Dingtian suddenly had a very boring and even ridiculous idea. Could it be that among the countless stars he saw, one of them was Earth? As long as he had enough chi-gathering pills and vitality pills, he could directly fly to Earth. Therefore, Yang Dingtian could not help but open his eyes wide, looking up at the endless bright starry sky, and began to identify which star would be Earth, and which star would have the characteristics of Earth. However, Yang Dingtian quickly gave up on this ridiculous idea. Because the stars above his head were all about the same, all shining brightly. Yang Dingtian could be sure that Earth was in this endless universe, no matter which plane it was, but it was definitely in this universe. However, Yang Dingtian could not even see the solar system now, let alone Earth. Moreover, the stars that he could see with the naked eye were all fixed stars, and the closest one to him was probably more than a few 100 million kilometers away. Wanting to return to Earth was a complete dream. In fact, he did not even want to return to Earth. Of course, this idea was very unfilial, and he missed his parents very much. But it had to be said that the chaotic world needed Yang Dingtian more. He, Yang Dingtian, was not only the leader of a group of people, but also the husband of several women and the father of a bunch of children. His mission, his home, was in the chaotic world. Yang Dingtian thought of his wife and children, and then completely rejected the endless loneliness and desolation in his heart. Taking a deep breath, Yang Dingtian took out a chi-gathering pill from the space ring to recover his combat chi. Because there was no need to rush, and in order to save the chi-gathering pill, Yang Dingtian fully recovered his combat chi in half an hour. Swoosh! Yang Dingtian spat out the mysterious fire behind him and flew. The instantaneous speed gave him a big fright, and he was shocked. In a vacuum, and in a situation where there was no gravity, the slightest mysterious fire ejection was directly at supersonic speed. This speed was too frightening. Instantly, Yang Dingtian felt that he was like Astro Boy and also like Iron Man. The soles of his feet spat fire as he flew quickly. Under such extreme speed, Yang Dingtian followed the bottom of the third dark world and started to fly rapidly. He was trying to measure how big it was. After spending a few days and nights in outer space, Yang Dingtian flew and measured the area of the third dark realm. It was not a regular map, but it was about 130,000 miles horizontally and 65,000 miles vertically. In other words, Yang Dingtian's desperate exploration had not even reached half of it, or even a quarter. Moreover, Yang Dingtian had also reached the end of the third dark realm, which was the border of the abyss. Logically speaking, he should have seen the second and fourth dark realms. In the end, there was nothing. The end was nothingness, a blurry light shadow, as if there was nothing, but also as if everything was hidden inside. Therefore, Yang Dingtian discovered that the second and third dark realms were connected. They were connected, but they were connected through a certain method, and they did not border on reality. Perhaps it was space-time, or a connection between planes. In short, when you saw the third dark realm, you would never see the second and fourth dark realms on either side of it like a puzzle. Therefore, this chaotic world was far more mysterious than he had imagined. But let's put this aside first. The first thing Yang Dingtian needed to find was the secret of the third dark realm. Therefore, Yang Dingtian thought of the stupidest way, and that was to find the center of the third dark realm. Of course, this was an instinct and intuition. He had a feeling that the center of the third dark realm might hold some secrets. However, the second dark realm was simply too big. It spanned more than tens of thousands of miles, and was billions of square kilometers. It was difficult to find the center, and it was impossible to search aimlessly. Moreover, it was an irregular map, and the center was even harder to find. Therefore, Yang Dingtian needed to draw a relatively accurate map of the third dark realm. Yang Dingtian spent every day in space, using the mystical flame to fly, and carefully observed the shape of the third dark realm. After spending half a month, Yang Dingtian managed to draw a relatively accurate drawing of the shape. Then Yang Dingtian calculated where the center of the third dark realm was. Yes, it was here. The center of the third dark realm was here. After finding the center on the map, Yang Dingtian fully recovered his mystical chi, and then used the mystical flame to fly. He first came to the southeast edge of the third dark realm, and then flew in a straight line to the left. After flying for 68,356 miles, he stopped, turned around, and flew up for 29,233 miles. Then Yang Dingtian flew to the center of the third dark realm. Yes, he found it. He found it. Although it was not very accurate, because the center had moved more than 200 miles northwest. However, Yang Dingtian found the center. It was a whirlpool with a diameter of tens of thousands of meters. It looked very big, but compared to the third dark realm, it was very small. If not for Yang Dingtian's composition, he would not have found this whirlpool. Yang Dingtian kept getting closer, closer, and closer. He saw it clearly. This whirlpool was completely different from the surrounding engulfing fog. It was incomparably mysterious, beautiful, and mysterious. One could see at a glance that there were endless secrets hidden in the whirlpool. Chapter 847. Yang Dingtian had finally found the center of the third dark territory after much effort. It was the huge whirlpool that was tens of thousands of meters in diameter. In that case, should he go in? At that moment, Yang Dingtian felt like he was experiencing Yao Qi's emotions again. She knew that she would most likely die if she jumped in. Should she jump in? Yao Qi chose to jump. What should Yang Dingtian do now? Yang Dingtian had really put in a lot of effort and time to find this place. Should he give up after finding it? No one would be willing to do that. However, if he jumped in, he would most likely die. The third dark territory was already so terrifying, let alone the whirlpool at its center. There was a 90% chance that Yang Dingtian would be smashed into smithereens the moment he jumped in. That was because it could be considered as the eye of the third dark territory. However, there was another theory. For example, the eye of a tornado was the safest place. There was a 90% chance that he would die. There was a 10% chance that he would survive. There was a huge difference in the ratio. Should he take the risk? Should he? Fuck, I'll take the risk. Yang Dingtian cursed in his heart. Then he accelerated the mystic fire to the maximum and charged toward the whirlpool at the center of the third dark territory. Although the third dark territory looked close to Yang Dingtian, it was actually very far away. Yang Dingtian had already calculated that he was about 837 miles away from the third dark territory in space. Yang Dingtian spat out the mystic fire and his speed instantly reached a few times the speed of sound. Suddenly, the third dark territory became bigger and bigger. The huge whirlpool became clearer and clearer. In just 3 minutes, the huge whirlpool was right in front of Yang Dingtian. There was a mysterious light shining in the whirlpool as if it contained infinite secrets. It was not too late for Yang Dingtian to back out. However, he would not back out. Yang Dingtian clenched his teeth and resolutely rushed into this huge whirlpool that seemed to lead to hell. Almost instantaneously, Yang Dingtian quickly felt like he was about to be smashed to pieces and turned into ashes. Soon, he felt that his body no longer belonged to him. Following that, he felt that his spiritual consciousness no longer belonged to him. After that, he didn't know anything and completely lost all consciousness. It was no different from being dead. Yang Dingtian had already lost count of how many times he had lost consciousness. But not once had he been so close to death, so close to death. The feeling this time was exactly the same as death. Therefore, when Yang Dingtian woke up again, he felt as though he was alive again. However, before Yang Dingtian could feel the aftertaste of being revived, he was completely stunned by the situation around him. This was an extremely luxurious room, even more luxurious than the palace of the Golden Peace tribe of the South Sea. In the Ning clan of the South Sea, gold was everywhere. The room here was filled with gems and crystals. It was a palace of crystals and gems. The big ship under Yang Dingtian was carved out of a huge and complete crystal. The patterns and sculptures on it were all made of crystals of different colors and embellished with gems. In short, this was the most luxurious bed Yang Dingtian had ever seen. The quilt covering him was as soft and light as a cloud, as if it didn't have any weight in his hand. Yang Dingtian gently lifted it. The big cup on the bed weighed less than half a kilogram at most, but it felt warm to the touch. He had never seen such a quilt on Earth. If it appeared on Earth, even if there were millions of them, countless rich people would rush to get it. Looking at everything in the room, whether it was the coffee table or the chairs, there wasn't even any gold. They were all crystals and gems. Even the mirror was a complete piece of crystal, and then a special section was used to create the perfect reflection effect of a mirror. The entire floor was completely made of a kind of crystal that was elastic and not too hard. On top of it was a layer of snow-white carpet. Every hair on the carpet was so soft that it felt dreamy, as if it was breathing all the time. On the table, there were all kinds of delicacies. There were fruits that Yang Dingtian didn't recognize, exquisite pastries, warm barbecued meat, tempting seafood, and a row of fine wines waiting to be chosen. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian had a thought. Was this heaven? Was he really dead? Was that why he had gone to heaven? If it wasn't heaven, how could there be such a dreamy room in the chaotic world? Yang Dingtian couldn't help but get out of bed and found that he was naked. Then he looked for his space ring in horror. Fortunately, it was still there. Then he looked for the demon spirit mist cloak and the demon spirit black armor. Soon he saw them on the crystal clothes rack beside the bed. They had been tidied up elegantly and clean. Yang Dingtian felt insecure without clothes, so Yang Dingtian changed into clothes. However, the underwear was still new. Wearing it, the feeling of gentle caress was so comfortable that it couldn't be described in words. Then, Yang Dingtian put on his demon spirit mist cloak and demon spirit black armor. He usually didn't need to eat, but when he saw the delicious food on the table, he couldn't resist the temptation and sat down on the crystal chair. But what a comfortable chair! After pouring himself a glass of wine, Yang Dingtian picked up a piece of barbecued meat and ate heartily. God, it was too delicious. It was so delicious that Yang Dingtian couldn't believe it. After coming to the chaotic world, his status was so high. Although he didn't deliberately enjoy it, what kind of delicacies hadn't he eaten? However, everything in front of him was too delicious. Yang Dingtian even had a feeling of wanting to cry. It had been almost 2 years since he came to the Dark Realm. He had only eaten proper meals a few times. It had been a year since the last meal. The rest of the time, Yang Dingtian took pills to maintain his life. When he ate delicious food, he really had the feeling of crying. Delicious food was definitely not for filling one's stomach, but for enjoyment. And the wine here was really wonderful to the extreme. The bitterness, sourness, and sweetness, the three flavors combined beautifully, exerting an incomparably mysterious taste. No matter which world he was in, these three scents should be the most mysterious. For example, the red wine, chocolate, coffee, tea, and so on the earth plane, all have extraordinary attraction, all contain 1, 2, or 3 of these three flavors. After eating this meal, Yang Dingtian's happiness index had reached the peak. He swept away all the delicious food on the table, and then drank the wonderful blue wine little by little. Yang Dingtian didn't know what it was made of, but it tasted a bit like the table wine on earth, sour and sweet, very delicious. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, there was a question that Yang Dingtian had never thought about. Where was this? Was he still in the third dark realm? All the questions and doubts, Yang Dingtian didn't think about them, and just enjoyed the delicious food and wine in front of him. Anyway, these questions were useless for him to think about. Obviously, there was life here, so he just had to wait for it to appear. As expected, the gorgeous crystal door slowly opened, and a peerlessly beautiful woman walked in. She was a one-in-a-million beauty. She wore a long, watery dress that accentuated her slender and alluring figure, making her curves even more alluring. "Sir, you're awake?" the beautiful woman said softly, and then glanced at the messy table and said, "Sir, you've eaten. As long as you want, you can enjoy any delicious food." "I've eaten," Yang Dingtian said. "Then, can I ask you a few questions?" The beautiful woman smiled softly and said, "Of course, but there are some questions that I may not have the authority to answer, but there will definitely be someone who can answer you." Yang Dingtian said, "May I ask, where is this place? Are we still in the third dark realm?" The beautiful woman smiled and said, "This is not within the scope of our answer. However, our master is about to summon you, and I think she should be able to answer your questions. Also, I'm going to take you to see her now." Then, the beautiful woman bent her charming waist slightly and said, "Sir, please." She opened the door and led the way. Yang Dingtian followed. They walked out of the room. Yang Dingtian saw a completely dreamlike palace, even more dreamy than the Silver Palace in Little Western Paradise. The whole palace was still full of crystals and gems. Yang Dingtian had a feeling that he was in the Dragon King's Crystal Palace. However, there was no water here. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, and it was pure and beautiful air. There were powerful warriors in every corner of the palace. They wore gorgeous armor and held weapons in their hands. They were guarding the place with dignity. These guards were both men and women. After walking for more than 10 minutes, the beautiful woman brought Yang Dingtian to the huge palace at the highest point. After entering the palace, the beautiful woman slowly closed the door. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was the only one in the incomparably huge palace. This huge palace was more than 10,000 square meters in size. Every inch of the floor was filled with precious crystals. There were dozens of huge pillars in the palace, dozens of meters tall and 3 to 4 meters thick, and all of them were completely carved out of crystals. Yang Dingtian was very familiar with the patterns carved on each pillar. They were all kinds of naga. The roof of the palace was dozens of meters above his head, and all the tiles were carved out of crystals. The sunlight shone directly, making the entire palace shine brightly. The tiles were also carved with gorgeous patterns, and there were also countless naga on them. Yang Dingtian was shocked and thought to himself, could it be that this is the ruins of the Naga Empire? At this moment, an incomparably charming voice sounded. "Welcome, guest from afar. You are the third human to visit our empire. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.